A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention! All districts, a five-alarm fire. 5 bells, move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go!
Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Tim Collins at the quarters of the rescue company, where Captain Jellybone has just announced that he has a special job for Tim to do. Before we hear about that job, there's just time to hear this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the office of Captain Jellybone at the quarters of the rescue company, where, as you remember, the captain has just said to Tim Collins. Where's Mushnowski, Collins? What's he doing?
Watching Smokehead McBride, sir, in the assembly room.
Oh, they're busy? Preparing the gasket in that nozzle, are they?
No, sir, that's all in order. Smokey's just... Well, he's only shining Mushnowski's shoes.
What?
Well, Smokey got to... Well, talking out of turn, Captain, so we...
Yes.
Well, we sort of made him shine our shoes. He ought to be through with Mushnowski's now, though, and started on mine, Captain. That's why I'm still wearing boots. But if you want...
All right. That's your business. What a crew. It's a miracle I have any hair left. Huxley.
Yes, sir.
Go out to the assembly room and ask if Mr. Mushnowski can be spared from his other obligation.
You want to see him, sir?
Yeah, I want to see you both. I got a job for you two.
Oh, well, right away, sir.
Hey, Mush! You're wanted!
Coming.
Captain's office.
He's coming, sir.
Yes, I heard him. Could have yelled for him myself, Collins, if I wanted somebody to yell.
Oh, sorry, Captain.
All right, boy. Just one of my little rules. We get enough yelling and hollering on the job. I'd like to keep it quiet between times.
Yes, sir. I'll remember, sir.
Reporting, Captain.
Stand easy, Private. Mush, you're off duty when?
Saturday noon, sir, for 24 hours this week.
How about you, Collins?
Well, this week, sir, I'm the same. Off Saturday to Sunday noontime.
Good. Why don't you boys go fishing?
Fishing?
Hey, that's okay, Captain. What do you say, Hooksy? You got nothing planned you can't change, huh?
Oh, well, sure. Of course, I'd like to go fishing, but... Oh, good grief, I haven't gone fishing in years.
You'll catch on all right. Besides, you never went fishing like this before.
Maybe I can borrow my kid brother's fly rod. Jimmy's got all...
Don't bother with the rod, Collins. You can borrow the company tackle for the afternoon.
Sure, we'll stow it in the back of my old crate.
Oh, that's okay then, but... Gee, the rescue company is equipped with fishing tackle? I didn't know that.
We got everything you need. All you got to do is bring a suit.
Oh, yeah, sure. Old clothes and a sweater and stuff.
No. Swimming suit.
Huh?
You got swimming trunks or something, haven't you?
Wait a minute. What is this? A gag? We're gonna swim after these fish?
You'll find out, Collins. It's a gag in a way, but it's an important part of your training, too. Better check over that equipment, Mushnowski.
You said it, Captain. You don't want to take chances on that stuff going wrong. Now, if we could do like I always say...
I'll hook up a motor pump to run the apparatus, sir?
Yeah, a motor can pump air all day and all night.
No, but... not on the kind of fishing tackle that we have, Marsh. That old hand pump will have to do. For the time being, anyway.
Well, maybe someday we'll get one of those new outfits that...
I don't get it.
You'll find out that there's more to the post in the rescue company than you bargained for, Huxley.
Just leave it to me, kid. Come Saturday, we just load up the gear in my jalopy, and you'll see fishing... like you never seen fish before.
With swimming trunks and what is it? Air pumps? Gee, things sure have changed since last time I went fishing.
With Mushnowski and even Captain Jellybone leagued against him to keep the secret of the mysterious fishing trip,
and the other members of the rescue company joining the conspiracy of silence, Tim Collins begins to suspect that he is a victim of a practical joke, until on his way home after duty one evening, he meets Chief Cody.
Collins, Private Collins.
Huh? Oh, hi there, Chief Cody.
Want to lift home? Jump in.
Oh, you bet.
All right, Vito. We're going right past Collins' corner. Just slow down and I'll push him out.
How's it going, Vito?
Can't complain, kid.
Attaboy. Say, I'm not taking you out of your way, sir.
No, we're heading for the training school right past your corner.
Oh.
How's your mother, son, and those kids?
Oh, gee, couldn't be better, Chief Cody. And Mom says you better show up pretty soon for a visit. She says welcome any time, especially at mealtime.
All right. Tell her I'll drop in soon, Collins. And how's it going with you? Not sorry you transferred to rescue company?
Oh, I wouldn't have missed it for anything, Chief.
Find yourself fitting in? None of that rough stuff the boys gave you at first?
Not a bit. They're a great gang, Chief. A great bunch of jokers.
For example?
Well, Mushnosky is supposed to take me fishing this weekend.
Good. Yes, it's time you got that training.
Oh, wait a minute, Chief. Wait a minute. It's some kind of a gag. I know it is. Why, you know what they claim? They claim the rescue company has some kind of fishing tackle we're going to use.
That's right, son.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but, sir, air pumps and stuff? and fishing in trunks? Mushnosky says to bring my swimming trunk.
Yeah, that's one of their favorite gags, boy. Getting a new man worked up over his first fishing trip.
Yes, sir. Well, that's what I was beginning to think, Chief. And when you came along, I thought maybe you...
Maybe you could worm the secret out of me, huh? Oh, no. I'm not going to give it away, Collins.
Oh, gee whiz. Honest, I'll be out of my head by Saturday trying to figure it out.
You hear that, Vito? They're giving Collins the old fishing trip treatment.
Tell the boys you can do it. Hey, come in your corner, Hooksy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, Vito. Thanks for the lift, Chief.
That's all right. Oh, Collins.
Oh, yes, sir.
Where is this fishing expedition supposed to take place?
Oh, out in the country someplace, I guess. Maybe out in the river. Mushnosky didn't say.
Yeah, well, tell Mushnosky the tugboat dock is a good place.
Tennacombe Towboat Company, Chief?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right on the waterfront here in town. No fish could breathe in that water.
Maybe not, but there's 15 to 20 feet of water. Mushnosky will know what I mean.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll tell him.
All right, Vito, let's roll. Good night, Collins. Have a good fishing trip.
Yes, sir. Gee whiz. 15 to 20 feet of water, he says. Now, what does a fish care how deep it is? What kind of fish are we fishing for?
Tim is still wondering, as at a few seconds before the noon bell on the day scheduled for his outing with Mushnosky, Captain Jellybone tells him.
Well, you're going to have company this afternoon, Hooksy.
Oh, but, sir, I'm going down to the docks, Captain, with...
That's right. Chief Cody will meet you there.
Chief Cody?
Says there's something that you and Mush can do for him down on the docks.
Captain, this thing gets more and more...
Well, look up!
Well, you're off duty, boy. Good luck.
Come on, Hooksy, give me a hand with this gear.
Yeah, good grief, at last. Now I'll find out what this is all about.
Well, Tim joins Private Mushnosky at the big metal storage company locker where special rescue equipment is kept and finds him dragging heavy pieces of apparatus out onto the floor.
Give me a muscle here, Hooksy.
Yeah.
Here. I let her rest.
Yeah. Hey, what's that for? That's a hand pump. Where is it?
A hand pump for pumping air, Collins, my boy.
Huh?
Can't go fishing. Not our way without an air pump.
Yeah, we're gonna pump the river dry and then... Oh, now I get it.
Here, take the kettle.
Yeah, kettle your foot. That's a diving helmet.
Well, what do you know? The kid's clever. Hey, fellas, kid's catching on.
Oh, I'll be hanged. You're going to show me how to dive. That's why the swimming trunk...
Huh? You're going to show me how to dive, Hooksy.
Me? I never had one of those helmets on in my life.
You're in the rescue company now, boy. Never know where you'll be 1,000 feet up in the air, a couple fathoms underwater.
Yeah, but well, good grief.
You're not scared, are you?
Who, me? Oh, what do you take me for?
Okay, then. Pick up those lead boots and the weights for your harness. And let's load up my car.
Scared? Of course I'm not scared. Or am I?
Now, this is something new for Tim Collins, because the young fireman never dreamed he might someday go for a walk on the bottom of the river. And his first attempt at diving may have important results, because Chief Cody, for some reason, is now waiting for Tim, his friend Mushnosky, and their diving outfit down at the Tennacombe towboat dock. Now, you'll find out what Chief Cody wants of Tim in our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own hometown. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody. And I've got one more thing I want to mention about fire alarms. That's the false alarm. The dangerous, costly game some people play when they pull a false alarm. Now, you can help by spreading this news around. No boy or girl who has his heart in the right place and his brains where they ought to be will ever pull a false alarm. Well, that's all. Goodbye for now.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
Pepsi-Cola, P-E-P-S-I. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington. United States Counterspy. Especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad. Tonight, the case of the Crystalline Double Cross. A thrilling counter-spy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now, another report to the American people. In your family's interest, listen to these findings, recently released by the United States Testing Company, Incorporated. After thorough and impartial tests, Pepsi-Cola proved of highest purity. Pepsi-Cola has more quick food energy and value, ounce for ounce, than any other leading nationally known cola. Yes, tested, compared against all other nationally known cola drinks. Pepsi-Cola won out. You get the best and twice as much in delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now to Counterspy. 2 weeks ago, in the vault of the New York jewel dealers, Lamar and Moffett, the crystalline diamond, an official gift to the United States from the Rajah of Soupgun, sparkled under the harsh light of a hanging lamp. A tall man of 45 with iron gray hair and horn-rimmed glasses, Arthur Lamar, bent over the jewel, lost in wonder. Suddenly, behind him, out of the darkness, came another figure, swift, silent, with upraised arm. A pause, and then...
Bulletin to all police and counter-spy field offices. Last night, the crystalline diamond of Soupgun was stolen from the New York jewel firm of Lamar and Moffett. All authorities are warned to be on the lookout for it.
Anne, darling, you frightened?
Of course Victor. You and I are running away. I feel as if the whole country were after us.
I hope you'll never be sorry that you've come with me.
Never. This is the big adventure of my life, Victor.
Just you keep thinking that way, Anne. Only even big adventures have to be planned.
I've put myself in your hands.
Where we're driving to, for instance.
Well, where?
You know, for several years I've taken vacations. But did you notice that I've never told anyone where I've been?
That's right, you didn't.
I went regularly to the little California town of Oceanside. And I lived there and became known as John Robertson, an Eastern businessman. Now you will appear there as the new Mrs. Robertson.
How easy you make it sound.
Far from it. But I always knew that someday I'd need John Robertson. The day that I couldn't stand another minute of my dear partner, Arthur Lamar. And this time John Robertson and wife will stay in Oceanside quietly for a year, maybe 2.
Not too quietly, Victor. I've had years of that.
Oh, I think I can promise you it won't be too quiet. Not when Arthur finds out about,
What?
me. When he finds out what his partner has really done to him. I'd love to see his face.
Gentlemen of the press, I'm Arthur Lamar. Very sorry to have kept you waiting, but I was delayed by further police and insurance company investigation and by a little more medical attention for the blow on the head that I received last night. I think you all know the main facts. The crystalline diamond, the most perfect jewel in the world, was stolen last night from the vault of Lamar and Moffat by my partner, Victor Moffat. But now I have a special announcement. I am personally offering a reward for the capture of Victor Moffat. $50,000 alive, $100,000 dead. Morning paper, please. There you go. What?
Hey, taxi. Counterspy headquarters, please. So, Peters, the moment I saw the paper, I rushed here to headquarters for further information.
Mr. Harding, you knew about the theft of the crystalline diamond yesterday.
I mean this reward for Victor Moffat. $50,000 alive, $100,000 dead. That's the stupidest thing I've seen in years.
Take it easy, Dave. You'll burn a bearing.
Diamond is national property, but normally we wouldn't have to worry about it. Police and insurance investigators are able to take care of it. But this reward, I'm going to New York and see Arthur Lamar. And with all due respect, Mr. Lamar, I'm afraid you were very upset when you announced this reward.
I was, Mr. Harding. I still am. Why, we were entrusted with that diamond on its way to Washington, and my firm has been made to look untrustworthy. But, Mr. Harding, why are you so upset about this yourself?
Mr. Lamar, it's the nature of the reward you're offering for Moffat. $50,000 alive, well and good. But to offer twice as much for him dead, that's an invitation to murder.
Murder?
By elements in the underworld, unscrupulous individuals who see a chance to collect a great deal of money for committing a crime.
Good heavens, I never thought of it that way.
Besides, you put Moffat on notice, he may be shot to death without a chance, without a trial.
A trial? He's as guilty as he can be.
Mr. Lamar, a man like Moffat doesn't usually carry weapons. He's not a killer, a professional gunman. That means he could easily be taken alive. But now you've made sure that capturing him will cost blood.
But he must be armed, Mr. Harding. A gun I kept at home is missing.
In any case, will you withdraw that reward, Mr. Lamar?
Mr. Harding, am I violating any law by posting the reward for Moffat, alive or dead?
Frankly, no.
Then I will not withdraw it.
May I ask you, frankly, Mr. Lamar, what purely personal motive leads you to want to see Moffat dead?
I've said nothing to the press about this, Mr. Harding. But Victor Moffat fled in the company of a woman. My wife.
Victor, shouldn't we be on U.S. Illinois Highway 22A?
We are, darling.
We just passed the sign saying this is Pennsylvania 101B.
Same thing, Anne. Relax.
I was just thinking, how many more states to California?
Here's a little town, or the edge of one. You hungry?
That was an enormous lunch we had.
Well, still, it's late. Suppose we find a nice motor court, and then I'll get in some food for a light supper.
Fine.
It was a waste of time, Pierce. Total waste of time. Dave, you're still so angry you don't even notice that I'm here in the New York field office when you left me in Washington.
What? That's right. What are you doing here?
Well, I had a hunch you might not get far with Lamar, Dave. And the harm's already been done. News of the reward's been sent all over the country by now. So I thought maybe I could be of some help.
Well, the real twister is that Moffat also ran off with Lamar's wife. Well, we'll put out a general search bulletin on Victor Moffat and Mrs. Lamar. We've got to find him before some gunman does.
Sliced ham, roast beef, rye bread, pickles, several containers of coffee, and... Anne, where did you get that gun?
It's Arthur's. I took it.
Why?
In case anything unexpected came up.
You gave me quite a surprise.
I just had one myself.
What?
While you were out getting the food, I thought the proprietor of this place might have a newspaper. I was curious to see what Arthur might be doing or saying about my leaving with you. The man had a newspaper, all right. There's my surprise. On page 1.
Yes, I see.
I read it, and then I got out the gun. This is where my one big adventure ends, I said to myself. Here in a motor court somewhere in Pennsylvania. The end. When you walked in that door, I was going to kill you.
Anne, give me that.
11 rotten years with Arthur. And at last I thought I could get free of him with you. I felt wonderful, Victor. That's what made this even a greater surprise. Why didn't you tell me?
You might not have come with me. And I love you.
What kind of a life can we have? Hunted all over the country. What made you steal the crystalline diamond? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, it just came into my head suddenly when I saw Arthur looking at it. And, Dan, this doesn't change anything. You wanted an adventure. You're getting a bigger one.
You talk like a child, Victor. What good is that diamond to you?
I've been planning that. After hiding out in California, we'll go to Indonesia. There are some diamond cutters there that I can deal with.
You'll never get across the country, Victor. There's a price on your head. Alive or dead.
Well, what of it?
Men can be dead. Sooner or later, you'll need help from underworld characters. And you'll be worth $100,000 to any one of them that decides to double-cross you.
Well, yes, there's something in that,
I see only one thing to do. Give up this crazy California scheme.
Give it up?
We've got to get away from the influence of this reward market. Away from the American police and American criminals. We've got to leave the country.
Now, Anne, for the love of
We
heaven.
don't dare cross the whole country now. We'll have to go back. To Philadelphia. Find a ship. Get on it somehow. Quickly.
Anne.
Darling, I told you this is the big adventure of my life. It's not what I expected, but we'll go through with it. And I want you alive. Don't you understand?
Bulletin on the teletype, Dave. Oh? From Police Department, Ogilvy, Pennsylvania. Couple believed to be Victor Moffat and Mrs. Anne Lamar. Spent some hours in motor court here. Have touched nothing until hear from you. Come on, Peter.
California, Dave.
Well, Peters, we can ignore that. I found a few fingerprints, and they matched the card we made up on Moffat in New York.
Well, is that any help? They disappeared from here, and nobody knows which direction they left in.
We may have a clue in this Philadelphia newspaper.
Oh?
Yeah. See this page? Shipping news. And the paper's well folded and flattened, as if this particular part of this page had been studied over and over.
Mm-hmm. Shipping news and ship sailings from eastern ports.
And that suggests that Moffat and the woman who first planned the western getaway have changed their minds and are doubling back to the East Coast for a ship to get out of the country.
We don't know from which port.
Well, let's get to a phone. We'll have to get out a general alarm to all eastern seaports and airfields, just in case.
You know, there's another difficulty, Dave. Some ship may take them aboard before an alarm ever reaches them.
Oh, wait a second. Peters, you suppose we could split that couple?
Turn them against each other, you mean?
It's clear Moffat stole the diamond, but according to Lamar, the woman had little or nothing to do with the theft itself.
And the reward is only for him.
Exactly. We'll get off the alarm first. Then I'm going to issue a statement to the press pointing out that she has nothing to lose by coming in, but she risks her life by going on with him. Come on, Peter. We need telephone.
In a moment, back to Counterspy, presented by delicious Pepsi-Cola. Have you heard about those tests by that famous laboratory? Have you heard the latest news in the Pepsi-Cola story? Yes, there's big news about Pepsi. The cola you've always known was most delicious, the cola you've always known was best value, is now shown to be the cola of proven highest quality. That's right. The U.S. Testing Company Incorporated reports you get more quick food energy ounce for ounce in delicious Pepsi-Cola than any other nationally known leading cola drink. Yes, your Pepsi is really tops. Taste the tops, is the tops, and gives the most. So go ahead, enjoy that extra zing and bounce delicious Pepsi gives you. Insist on it wherever you may be. When you stop at the fountain, make sure you say, Pepsi, please. When you stop at the stand, make sure you say, Pepsi, please. And at the store, get Pepsi in the money-saving carton of 6 big 12-ounce bottles. Pepsi 6 bottles serve 12 refreshing glassfuls. Twice as much. So save money and get the best. Come on, sing the Pepsi song with us. Pepsi-Cola, it's the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better, too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you. Delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola. Now back to Counterspy. Anne Lamar and Victor Moffat, in possession of the crystalline diamond worth $2 million, have reached temporary safety near the Philadelphia waterfront in a nondescript boarding house.
And Mr. David Harding, chief of the Counterspy, speaking to a press conference, said he believed that Mrs. Lamar was not implicated in the theft of the diamond. And he added, with the price on Victor Moffat's head, she might soon realize that her life was in constant danger. She had nothing to lose and everything to gain, Mr. Harding said, by leaving Moffat and clearing herself with the authorities.
Well, Anne, there's your chance.
Chance?
To end your adventure free and clear. The invitation is published in every newspaper in the country. I hope you feel honored.
You don't have to get sarcastic, Victor. You can see what they're up to.
Of course, they hope you'll telephone the nearest police station and say that Victor Moffat is at number 14 West Race Street.
You know, in posting that reward, Arthur was much more clever than I ever thought he could be.
Arthur was clever?
The reward is not for the diamond, but for you. That means we can't even return the diamond somehow, escape.
But we're going to escape with the diamond.
Victor, I'm willing to give up.
What?
We can never escape together. Never.
Now, darling, now wait a minute. Your nerve's going. You're just tired.
No. It's been getting clearer and clearer in my mind. Leaving New York with you, that was my escape from a dreary, horrible life with Arthur. And then the diamond, and the price on your head as if you were a Western bad man of the old days. And now, my invitation to betray you.
But if you give up, that's what you'll be doing.
Oh, no. I'm going to do something much more to the point. Somehow Arthur spoils everything for me. And I'm going to make him pay for that. I'm going to see him and kill him.
For heaven's sake, you're losing your good common sense.
I'm sorry, Victor. It's all over. Goodbye.
Anne!
Hello, Mr. Lamar. This is David Hardy.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Hardy.
I missed you at your office. I took this chance of catching you at your country place.
Yeah, just I wanted a quiet evening for a change. These past few days have been pretty hectic for me.
Well, tell me, are you alone there?
Why, yes, except for a caretaker and his wife who live about a quarter mile away. Why?
Well, just keeping in touch, that's all. Did I give you the emergency number of our New York field office? It's quadrant 10,000.
Oh, quadrant 10,000. Right, I made a note of it, Mr. Hardy.
Fine. Good night. Now, Peter, call the squad room. Send 2 men in a patrol car to Lamar's place. Tell them not to disturb him. Just get near the house and keep their eyes open.
Don't you trust Lamar, Dave?
He's a strange man, Peter. He hates Moffat more on account of his wife than on account of the diamond. And if Mrs. Lamar responds to our invitation, his desire for revenge might get in our way. Get out of the squad room, Peter. I want those men out there fast.
Hello?
Well, Arthur, you're a hard man to find.
Is this...
I called the office, then the apartment, and finally I thought you might be in the bunker. I hope you're alone.
What do you want, Anne? Where are you?
Arthur, do you want the diamond back?
You mean you've got it?
I can arrange for you to get it.
How?
Not so fast, Arthur. With the diamond, you get me, too.
What does that mean?
How seriously do you want to know?
I'd give anything.
In 1 hour, I'll meet you at the River Ford sawmill. You know the place?
Well, that's fantastic.
It's always deserted at night, Arthur. You'll be safe there. In 1 hour?
Hello? Hello? Dave, a radio report from Phillips and Margolies. Lamar has left his house. They're tailing him.
We're going out there, too, Peter.
All right, Arthur. Come in.
That we have some light in this place, Anne?
A little bit of moonlight through the skylight's enough. And you hate me. Why do you want to look at me?
Why did you want me to meet you here?
I'm feeling very repentant, Arthur.
You mean you woke up to the fact that you did a crazy thing running off with that thief Moffat? And now you're trying to save yourself, huh?
You never let me get away with anything, do you, Arthur?
I want that diamond. And I'm willing to take you back again as my wife. What more do you want? Where is the diamond, Anne?
We'll have to wait.
What for?
You know, Arthur, I didn't know you hated me so much.
I wonder if you know how much.
I think so. You didn't care if you caused the murder, victim Moffat.
Murder? You mean you killed him?
Don't sound so hopeful, Arthur. No, I haven't killed him. But he's sure to die sooner or later, isn't he? Victor.
Anne, I followed you. I've got the...
Oh, so I walked right into a trap.
It's not a trap, Arthur. I followed Anne here and then I waited. And then when I saw you come in, I decided I'd better come in too.
Victor, will you give up that diamond?
Certainly not.
Anne has already promised it to me.
What?
Victor, why did you have to come? I told you I wanted to see Arthur.
I can't let you kill him. Give me that gun.
No, he's burned everything. I will kill him. Give me that gun.
No, Arthur, I came here only to stop her, and I suggest you go.
Victor, you fool. Now you'll never get away.
Give me the diamond, Victor, and surrender. It's your honest hand.
Don't listen to him, Victor. Now that you're here, you've got to kill him.
You haven't got the nerve to shoot.
Thank heaven you did it, Victor.
Anne, you've made me a murderer.
Dave, I'm getting a report from Phillips and Margolies on the earphones.
What is it?
This is it.
They've located Lamar's car near a sawmill a mile north of Lamar's house, and they've got Victor Moffat cornered inside. They're waiting for orders.
Let's get there, Peters.
It's all my fault, Victor. I've ruined everything for you.
We'll get out of this, Anne, somehow.
Moffat. Victor Moffat. We call on you to surrender peaceably.
That's a new voice.
Yes, more men, perhaps.
Victor, listen.
You stay here. They won't hurt you. I'm going to make a break for it.
You'll never make it, Victor.
I don't know. Something thrown against the back wall, probably to confuse us. You stay here for a minute.
Moffat, we give you 10 seconds, or we come in after you.
Stay here, Anne. I'll go see what that
If
was.
they come in here, I'll use this.
A piece of wood. What good is that?
Go ahead, Victor.
All right. You wait here, and I'll...
All right, you men out there. You can come in now. Come on in.
Marlowe, take Phillips and cover the rear. All right, men. Hold it.
Right, Peter. Right.
Is this Mrs. Lamar?
I'm so glad you came up.
Wait, Lamar is dead, Chief. I guess this is Moffat. This must be the crystalline diamond in this chamois bag that was in his pocket.
Mrs. Lamar, can you tell us what happened?
I wanted to return to my husband. Moffat followed and killed Arthur.
Then you knocked Moffat out, huh?
Yes, with this piece of wood. I was afraid we'd all be killed.
This gun beside Moffat's hand, Mrs. Lamar. How about that?
The gun? Oh, yes, the two of them struggled together. Moffat got it away from my husband and shot him.
I see, Mrs. Lamar. Only this gun of your husband's disappeared from his house the night you left. He reported it. That means you lied just now about how your husband was killed, doesn't it? Means you had your husband's gun when you left with Moffat. How many other lies have you just told, Mrs. Lamar?
Lies?
You weren't really trying to come back to your husband tonight, were you? You were trying to double-cross him again, and double-cross Moffat once you realized the whole game was up.
Well, yes, it's true. Everything was ruined for me. And I couldn't have led Moffat back here without some kind of a trick. Mr. Harding, I am going to claim that $50,000 reward for Victor Moffat alive.
Where this diamond came from, Mrs. Lamar, it was said that whenever it changed hands, 3 men must die. Soon after making his will, the Raja of Subdan was murdered. Your husband lies here. And the third.
Victor.
Yes, he's dead from that blow you gave him. I charge you with his murder. Call the field office, Peters. We're through here.
Well, that takes care of the crystalline diamond. Now let's take care of the refreshment. Bring on those big, big Pepsis and have delicious Pepsi-Cola all around. Tastes good. You just can't match Pepsi's fresh, tangy flavor. And there's plenty for 2 of you in Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottle. Get Pepsi by the carton. It's 6 bottles, but 12 drinks. So save all that money and enjoy that extra zing and bounce delicious Pepsi gives you. Remember, Pepsi's proven highest quality, yet it gives you twice as much. Pepsi-Cola, it's a spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better, too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Delicious Pepsi-Cola. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen on Tuesday for the exciting case of the Mama's Boy murderer.
He murdered brutally when his racket was threatened. But when his personal safety was at stake, he lost his nerve. That was the dangerous racketeer your counterspy pursued in the case of the Mama's Boy murderer.
Next Tuesday on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Mark D. Loeb, dramatized by Paul Milton, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer with music by Jesse Crawford. This is Jay Jackson speaking. Counterspy is a Philip H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some delicious Pepsi tonight.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison or the grave. There's no other end, but they never learn. This time it started as a routine search for a rich girl's fiancé, and the trail led to a silent house haunted by a face at the window and blood in an open cedar chest. But before it was over, it became a search for a corpse that wouldn't sit still.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of mystery, comes his most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, as we present The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Busy Body.
Jerked me up off my back and out of the sports page at 9:30 in the evening of an already too long day. On the other end was a warm, feminine voice, edged with the kind of self-assurance that means money, and lots of it. But the words were both hurried and panicky, so after I hung up, I reluctantly waded through the sports section with my feet instead of my eyes, and headed for the coffee shop at Franklin and Bronson, where my new client, who had identified herself as Liz Stewart, said she'd be waiting. A pair of blue eyes at a table in the corner measured me from haircut to shoelaces. So I took the cue and walked over. After we introduced ourselves, I was waved into the chair opposite her. She leaned toward me and started with a rush.
Mr. Marlowe, I've got to find a man named Dean Howard as soon as possible.
Not exactly a new switch.
He's my fiancé. We plan to notify my Uncle Hanley of our engagement tonight.
Who is Uncle Hanley?
Uncle Hanley Stewart of Stewart Aluminum.
Okay, go ahead.
Dean Howard was to meet me at 7, but he didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 7:45 he called. He started to tell me something that he referred to as a horrible mistake, but before he could get it out, we were cut off. Well, I tried to call him back.
coffee?
Coffee?
No.
Okay. I tried to call him back, but there was no answer. So I went to his house, but it was locked and dark. And yet his car was still parked outside.
Uh-huh. Well, look, Miss Stewart, why don't you save yourself $50, go home and wait for an apologetic phone call, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, this stacks up as being a case of cold feet or a little celebration that got out of hand. Either way, there's nothing to worry about.
I've come to you for help, Marlowe, not a pat on the head.
Okay. I'll assume it's my error for the moment. How long have you known this Dean Howard?
Well, I met him at a party about 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Hanley and I both liked him tremendously right from the first.
I suppose you've considered the possibility of another woman?
Well, of course, I'm not a child.
I can see that.
Well, Dean has been deeply troubled for the past week. He wouldn't tell me why, but I'm certain that this business tonight is tied in with it. Something's wrong, and I want you to find out what it is.
All right, but I'm no leg man for Cupid, so if it turns out to be nothing more than a guy's heart beating in double time, I drop it. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
She gave me a short list of posh joints she and Dean Howard sometimes visited, and his address, which was 312 Normandy. She said I could reach her at home, which was 28 Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills. Well, $50 is $50, so after she left, I spent a handful of nickels checking the list by phone and drew a complete blank. So I drove out Los Feliz to Normandy and found the number, 312. As I walked up to the door and leaned on the bell, I got the feeling that I was being watched. There was no answer, so I tried the door. It was locked. I threw a look over my shoulder as I walked around the side of the house and caught a glimpse of a face in a window next door, just before the curtain was dropped back into place. The back door of 312 was locked, too, I found out, as did the face next door, which was watching me again from one of the rear windows. There was one answer to that, so I went out in the street and up the steps of the house next door and knocked, good and loud.
What do you want?
My name's Marlowe, lady. I'm a detective. You may be able to help me.
A detective?
Mm-hmm.
Well, come right in, Mr. Marlowe. It's about time's all I have to say. I'm Agatha Lambrigger. What's he been up to?
Who?
Well, you're investigating that bachelor next door, aren't you?
Yes. Oh, how'd you know?
Stands to reason.
I've known all along he's a suspicious character.
Yeah?
Lived there a year now. Comes and goes at all hours. Drives that fancy car out there. Wears fine clothes, but nobody seems to know what he does or where he gets all his money.
Well, look, Mrs. Lamb...
And girls.
Oh?
Well, believe you me, they don't come to clean his house. Never gets cleaned. But they come just the same. Why, only tonight there was one. Some blonde in a white dress. I tell you, I've never
Mrs.
seen...
Lambriger, did the girl go inside?
Well, no. But she tried to. The door was locked. And it's Miss Lambriger.
Oh, how stupid of me. Well, tell me, did you notice Mr. Howard come home tonight?
Well, I didn't exactly see him come home. But he was over there all right. And not alone either.
Is that so? Another girl?
No, it was only some man.
Oh.
But it still bears out what I've been saying. Because I just happened to glance out of my window at this one here across from that one of his, you see.
Yes, sir.
Well, a light was on over there. And I could look straight down a hallway. And do you know what?
What?
Those two grown men were roughhousing like a pair of hoodlums in that hall. Wrestling they were, like ordinary ruffians. I tell you, I never saw the like. I got a good look at him, and I'd certainly know him if I saw him again.
Well, how'd the fight come out?
Fight?
Yeah.
What the... Oh, the fight. Well, I can't say about that. My phone rang. It was Lenore Crowley. She simply talks her ear off you when she gets
does.
started. So when I finally got back to the window, when I happened to look out again, it was dark over there. So I never did find out what actually happened. But
Yes,
I
well,
think
thanks
that...
very much for your help. I really must run.
Oh, and another thing. The noise and the drinking that's gone on in that house. Why, you wouldn't believe it. Oh, you're leaving?
As soon as possible, yeah.
But you still haven't told me what he's up to.
Well, I'm not at liberty to do that.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be here all the time, you know, and I'll certainly keep an eye on that house.
Oh, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you're going to all this trouble just for me. Bonsoir, Miss Lambriger. I backed out of that wind tunnel, got in my car, and drove noisily around the corner. Then I cut my lights, turned quietly into an alley behind the house, and stopped. Slipped through Howard's back gate and up the side of the house, found a window that could be persuaded, and went in. Yeah, Howard was a lousy housekeeper, and everything that didn't get brushed off in normal traffic was covered with dust. I found my way to the room opposite Agatha Lambriger's observation window and ran smack into her first lie. Where she said there was a hallway, there was a solid wall, papered with purple roses and hung with 4 dingy pictures in bronze frames, 2 on each side of a big, ugly mirror. There were 2 hallways, but no angle at which either could be seen from her window. Furthermore, there was no sign of a struggle. One hall led to the study, the other to the bedroom, and I checked both. But still, there was no indication of a fight. On my way out, I barked my shin on the nose of a lion carved on the corner of an oversized cedar chest, just as the abrupt sound of someone at the door brought me to a rigid halt. Whoever it was had the patience of an 8-year-old on circus day. So I set myself up as the type who might live in a joint like this and answered.
What's the matter with the lights, Howard? Blow a fuse? Or could this be some new economy measure?
I like it this way. I don't think I know you.
You should, Howard, you should. I called you yesterday about a certain money matter. The name is Leo. Don't go for your gun, Howard.
Well, since yours is pointed at my third rib, why should I?
Well, like I told you on the phone, my boss is anxious. You're way overdue, Howard. I want that $50,000 the boss loaned you 3 months ago. Have it for me the day after tomorrow. All of it. Without fail.
He knows I'm good for my debts. Why all the pressure?
Well, maybe he figures your investments aren't so smart. Like maybe you've been blowing too much on that second-rate canary, Carol.
Oh, yeah, Carol.
I remember. She's your girl. Well, that's none of my business. See you day after tomorrow about the same time. And if you get a headache from worrying about paying off, just think of the one you'll have if you don't pay. It'll be like 10 times this. Oh! Good night.
The .45 in his hand caught the side of my head, and I went out cold. When I opened my eyes, the room had shrunk until there wasn't enough space left to stretch out in. And the climb to my feet, was as easy as roller skating through a log jam. It wasn't until I found a match and had a light that I knew why. Somebody had moved me from the front door and crammed me into a broom closet like a bag of wet wash. When I got out, I saw that my cubbyhole was off the hall of the bedroom. I listened, but there was no sound in the house, so I started moving. but stopped when I noticed something else. The big cedar chest with carved lions on the corners that had been closed before now was standing open. I struck another match. Inside on the bottom was a thick red puddle of blood. Blew out the match and was in the middle of a mental apology to Liz Stewart when it came. I ran for the front door in time to see Agatha charge out of the driveway and down the street. Stark terror twisting her face.
Help! Help!
Hey, Miss Lambringer, hold it!
Oh, Mr. Marlowe! Mr. Marlowe!
What is it? What happened?
I saw him, Mr. Marlowe. I saw him. Up by the alley near the hedge. He's dead, Mr. Marlowe. Dead in my backyard.
All right. Now take it easy, Agatha. Who was it?
He's there now, lying on his back close to the hedge, and he's dead. What'll we do?
Come on, we'll have a look. You can show me where he is.
Well, all right. He's right back here. I happened to look out my rear window, and I saw something move. The dogs had been getting in my pansies lately, and I thought this was another. So I came out to chase him away. That's when I saw the body. It's right back here. It's gone.
Mm-hmm. Now, look, Miss Lambringer. I've got a headache. I'm getting a little tired of this. You saw a body here just like you saw a fight in a hallway from your window. You're so anxious to be in the middle of things you'd make up any kind of a story.
No, I'm not. I saw that, Tyson. I saw Dean Howard's body, too. It was here, I tell you.
Where? Show me exactly.
Well, right about there, I
Oh,
tell you.
sure. And I suppose it... Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. My apologies, baby. There is something here. Could be blood. Here's 2 dimes and a bar receipt from the tulip room on the strip.
Oh, good heavens. What'll you do now? Raid the place? You can use my phone.
Thanks, but until we know where the body is, we better play it cagey. Now, let's keep this a secret between us. That'll take a lot of courage, I know, but I can trust you, can't I?
I won't open my mouth to a soul, Mr.
Well,
Marlowe.
that's great. That's splendid. Now, you better go inside and stay there until you hear from me. Who knows? You may yet be a heroine, Miss Lambringer. The bar receipt was a long shot. When I was still 2 blocks away from the tulip room, I knew it had paid off because a fluorescent banner, 4x12, draped over the front of the squat square building, extolled the vocal virtues of one Carol Cody. I parked across the street, went in and found a dressing room door and knocked. She distinctly said, "Come in," but when I did, I thought the room was empty, until a small handful of spangled satin costume hopped up from behind a screen in the corner. I made a sight-unseen introduction. It was only a moment later that a tall brunette, filling a white silk blouse and snug, dark slacks, stepped out. Tossed a few pounds of glossy black hair away from her face and gestured me into a chair.
Which paper did you say you were from, Marlowe?
I didn't, honey. I'm a private detective.
I can't use it.
Don't give odds on it, baby. Not yet, anyway, huh? Let's talk first. For instance, what's with you and Dean Howard?
Dean Howard is a low-crawling thing.
That's strange. Had it you loved him?
I didn't till tonight when I found out that he has 2 heads. That's so he can lie and keep a straight face with one while he laughs up his sleeve with the other. Nuts to him. Nuts to Liz Stewart and her money and nuts to you. I hate Dean Howard enough to kill him, and I might just do that.
I don't think you will, no, because somebody beat you to it.
You mean Howard's dead?
Looks that way, yeah. I'm not sure because he won't stay in one place long enough.
If you're trying to shock me, you're wasting your time. I'm not sorry. I think we've got company.
Keep talking, I'll get him.
As you say, my friend, the music business is just as lousy as any other dodge, and I can prove it.
Come here. You're a good listener, Bud, so join the party. Who are you? Why are you listening out there? Come on.
No. Just a minute. I wasn't listening. I was looking for you, Marlowe. I'm Ward Odom, Mr. Hanley Stewart's assistant.
You're doing fine. Don't stop now.
Well, ever since I learned that Miss Stewart hired you, Marlowe, I've been trying to talk to you. I followed you here from that place on Normandy because I must know what you found out so far.
Why? What business is it of yours?
Because, Mr. Marlowe, I doubt very much that you even know of the robbery.
Robbery? What robbery?
More than $40,000 worth of negotiable securities was stolen from Mr. Stewart's safe this evening.
You get all your information at keyholes?
And I have reason to believe that the man you're looking for took them. Of course, I don't dare accuse him without proof of his relationship with Liz, Mr. Stewart's niece. If I were wrong, it would cost me my job.
Odom, did Liz know about the robbery when she hired me?
Why, of course.
Oh, brother. Look, see this? Her name is Carol. She's involved right up to her mascara in the whole mess. I'll let her out of your sight till I get back.
Me? Why, you cheap shot.
Shut up. And as for being cheap, I'll take care of you when I get back.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, Three gentlemen with highly varying but equally effective approaches to dealing with crime entertain you with their deeds of daring on CBS every Sunday. Jethro Dumont, alias the Green Llama, Police Commissioner Bill Grant of Call the Police, and Dashiell Hammett's Sam Spade. These three sterling gentlemen all make their appearances tomorrow on most of these same CBS network stations. And now with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Busy Body.
After convincing Ward Odom that his greatest contribution to the cause would be staying close, but not too close to the violent lady in slacks, I piled into my car and started for Beverly Hills in a beautiful liar named Liz. I didn't stop until I was at number 28 Roxbury Drive, out of my car and walking fast up the semicircle of gravel driveway that led to the carefully antique front door. But then, for two good reasons, I stopped again. The first, a squad car parked ahead of me that said everybody except Marlowe knew all about the bonds Mr. Hanley Stewart could no longer call his own. The second reason, and more important, was my client, Liz Stewart, sneaking out of a side door and hurrying toward a gray coupe. I stepped back into the shadow of a squat palm and waited for her to come abreast of me. Late date, Miss Stewart?
What? Marlowe, why, you startled me.
Considering everything, it's the least I can do.
What do you mean?
I don't like clients who lie to me. So if you don't mind, I'll just stroll along with you while you assure me you can explain everything.
But I can, Marlowe. Just give me a chance, please.
All right. Why didn't you tell me that 40 grand worth of negotiable bonds disappeared from your uncle's safe at the same time as Howard?
Oh, because I didn't want you to be prejudiced, to be looking for a thief from the start. If Dean did take those bonds, he had a reason.
Like being fond of money?
No, like being forced to do what he did.
All right, let's say he was forced. What then?
Well, then I wanted to help him, to get to him before the police. They'd arrest him in a minute.
And you, on the other hand, would get the bonds back to your uncle, convince him it was all a mistake, and talk him out of telling the law, huh? And with your own dough, you would help Howard out of the spot he was in. Is that it?
Yes. But you haven't proved that Dean took the bonds.
No, I haven't. Could have been anyone who knew the combination of the library safe. Which includes how many?
Aside from Uncle Han and myself, just the family lawyer and Mr. Odom.
Yeah, what about Odom? Could he have done it, Liz?
No, I don't think so, as much as I dislike him. You see, Marlowe, for years, Odom's been very close to Uncle Han. He's had 1,000 opportunities to steal if he wanted to, or like this afternoon, for instance. He had $10,000 worth of the bonds with him today.
What was he doing with all that dough, paying gas bills?
He was going to sell them for my uncle. But the transaction fell through, so he brought them back to the house and put them back in the safe. Anyway, Marlowe, I don't think he'd have the courage to steal.
I know what you mean. I've already met Mr. Odom.
When?
Oh, about a half hour ago. In a nightclub called the Tulip Room. Odom thinks Dean is guilty, Liz, but he's afraid to mention it publicly till he knows a little more.
What's a nightclub got to do with Dean?
Carol Cody.
Who?
She's Dean's girlfriend.
Marlowe, you're crazy.
I talked to her, honey. She's a singer there. Told me that she and Howard were more than chummy, but that she gave him the air tonight when she found out about you.
And you believe that?
Mm-hmm. Now that I've had a little time, I believe even more. Details that she never bothered to mention. Details like Dean Howard and Carol Cody playing you for a sucker. He gains your confidence, then the combination of the safe, and then goodbye. But you see, the end was a switch, Liz. Dean didn't...
Dean didn't what?
Hmm?
What is it, Marlowe? What are you staring at?
Back in my car there. It's not gas dripping on the driveway. The color's too red. Liz, stay back.
No, Marlowe. I don't want to. I want to... Marlowe! It's Dean. He's dead, Marlowe!
Yeah. That, Liz, is the switch I was talking about. I think Dean Howard not only crossed you, but Carol Cody as well.
She did it. She killed him. She killed him because she...
All right. Now, listen. Get inside. Tell the police about this. Do you hear me? But first, give me a 5-minute lead. I'll take your car. I want to get to Carol Cody before the law does. Without saying another word, Liz Stewart, her face drawn and streaked with tears, handed me the keys to her car and turned and walked slowly back to the house. I took one long look at the blood-soaked shirt front on the body I'd had been a step behind all night. Then got into Liz's car and pointed it back toward the Tulip Room. 20 minutes later, when my knock on the locked dressing room door brought no answer, I had kicked my way in. Alone and half-conscious in the middle of the floor was Ward Odom, the man I'd assigned to stand sentry over the brunette.
Oh, Marlowe, she tricked me. Asked for a cigarette, and I went to light it.
She swung. It adds, Odom, and you're lucky she let it go at that. was more permanent in Howard's case.
Oh, then you found his body, Marlowe.
Yeah, in the trunk of my car.
Oh, how awful. And she did all that, this Carol Cody?
Yes and no. She must have had help, Odom, because, first of all, it takes something stronger than the chanteurs to keep shifting a corpse from cedar chest to garden to car, at the rate that Howard was being moved. And second, an old crow named Agatha Lambriger saw a man roughhousing with Howard over at his own place, not a woman.
You mean there was a witness to the murder, Marlowe?
Well, more or less.
And you have no idea who the murderer is?
No. And that, Odom, is all the more reason why I want to catch up with Carol Cody. Happen to know where she lives?
Well, yes, at the Grayfield Apartment Hotel on North Havenhurst Drive.
North Havenhurst.
It's a room 118. And I think that it's... Marlowe, wait, my top coat is gone.
What?
Yes, and she was wearing slacks, remember? Marlowe, maybe she's leaving town disguised as a man.
It's a point, Odom. I still think I'll try the apartment hotel first.
Open. The bags are over there, boys. Did you get the text? Marlowe, what are you doing here?
Not doubling for a bellhop, so get over there, sit down, and keep your hands in your lap, because if I have to, I'll shoot.
But I don't understand.
I'll make it real plain. I think you murdered Dean Howard because he double-crossed you after he emptied Hanley Stewart's safe.
And I think you're out of your mind.
Which brings us to a position called stalemate, and that in turn makes this a good time to call the cops.
I didn't kill Dean. I swear I didn't. Oh, listen to me. What you said about Dean double-crossing me after he stole the bonds is true, but not the way you think it is.
Second verse.
He didn't want to just cut me out of my share, Marlowe. He wanted to return all the bonds intact. He really fell in love with Liz Stewart and decided to play all-American boy.
You mean he decided to call it all off after he'd stolen the bonds?
Yes, Marlowe. That was the reason we argued tonight.
Well, it's a stronger reason than one I already had for your committing murder. Baby, you wanted that money bad.
No, you're wrong.
Come back here. Why did you belt Odom and run? And don't bother denying that you did because I just left him. And he's minus good health and that top coat over there. So if you think
I
that you...
can explain that. I was scared that a confession out of Dean would get me into hot water. And when you showed and then Odom,
Just a minute, Carol.
Marlowe,
Just a minute, will you? I think I've got the answer.
What answer?
It's dust, Carol. Dust and what an old gossip swears she saw from her window. Right now, I've got to get over to her place before she ends up looking like the late Mr. Howard.
Well, then you believe me, Marlowe, about not killing Dean.
I don't know. But since you've been in this cheap swindle from the start, we'll just tuck you into an old-fashioned wardrobe. Just for safekeeping, baby. Outside in Liz's car, I slammed my foot down hard against the accelerator and didn't ease up until I screeched to a stop, away from 310 North Normandy, where I knew murder was scheduled to happen again. I was next to a pair of half-open French doors through which I could see Agatha Lambriger sitting erect in a straight-back chair. I was happy that I hadn't taken any longer in getting there. I was also happy that the man standing opposite her, gun in hand, the man who had murdered Dean Howard, had his back to me. I got a firm grip on the .38 in my hand.
You've been so nosy, Miss Lambriger. It is too bad that Marlowe had to let me know you've been a witness when I killed Dean Howard. A roughhouse, I think you called it.
A roughhouse is what I thought at the time. But when I saw Dean Howard's body out in the alleyway, I knew...
You knew I killed him. Everything would have been simple if you hadn't had your nose out a mile. I was going to run over him, and it would have looked like an accident. But I had to move the body after you saw it. Marlowe's car looked good until I could dispose of it. But there's no point telling you all this. You won't be able to gossip about it, Miss Lambriger. I'm sorry. Sorry, but that's the way it has to be. You or me.
I vote for you, Odom. Drop your gun before I close the polls for good, real noisy like. Come on, drop it.
No, don't shoot. I dropped it.
Okay. I'll move to the middle of the room, hands high.
Well, I didn't want to do it, but I had to kill him.
Dean Howard was going to return the bonds he took.
Marlowe,
and that would have left
listen
you in
to
a
me.
spot, wouldn't it? Because Howard only stole $30,000 out of that safe. You were taking $10,000 to legitimately sell for your boss.
I know what
And when you went to
I know what
return them, you
happened.
saw there'd been a theft. And you decided to make the most of it and let somebody else take the rap for the whole $40,000. Don't worry, a man who shoots another man in the back has no guts. He won't try anything while I'm looking at him.
No, Marlowe. I don't have any more guts than it takes to jump behind a woman's skirt. A lady I'd choke to death. If you take one more step. Now lower your gun and listen.
All right. Let her go, Odom.
Sure, let it go. Just as long as you cooperate, Marlowe.
Marlowe, don't be a
Shut up.
fool.
Shut up.
Don't shoot. You kill me anyway. Shoot.
No.
Shoot.
No, don't shoot.
Shut up.
Don't shoot. Don't.
You were right, Marlowe. No guts.
was an ambulance, a half a dozen squad cars, and a police captain included, and 3 long hours of questions and answers in triplicate later, before 310 North Normandy and Environ settled back to being just another quiet house on just another quiet street. With, of course, the exception of Miss Agatha Lambrigger, who now would never return to normalcy. And as we sipped hot tea together and a clock someplace deep in another room struck twice...
Now, Philip, I'm sure I had this
she was
right.
still going strong.
Dean Howard owed money, so he and that worthless singer decided that he should get friendly with your wealthy client and then at a propitious moment rob her uncle, correct?
Correct, yeah.
But what I don't understand is how you knew it was that awful man Odom.
Well, there were 2 things, honey. His anxiety to get me to Carol, together with a streak of dust the length of Odom's topcoat sleeve, all added up to a hunch.
That, Philip, I don't understand.
Well, you got to take them in reverse order. I saw dust on Odom's topcoat sleeve when I was in Carol Cody's apartment. That reminded me of the dust all over Howard's place.
Oh, a mess, that house.
Yeah, luckily. And the dust was the length of the sleeve, as though somebody had brushed against the wall, coated thick with it.
As one would in searching for something,
That's right. Now, there's another thing. You saw Howard and another man roughhousing in a hall by looking out of that window there.
Mm-hmm.
Where, Miss Lambrigger, no hall is visible. But where there is a mirror.
Oh, then you mean I actually saw a reflection.
Yes, darling, you did. Dean Howard hid the bonds behind the mirror.
Which tilted so that I saw the reflection of a side hall.
That's right.
Well, now, Philip, one last question. Why did Odom move the body?
Well, if it's the last, I'll answer it. Because he didn't want Howard's death to appear a murder on the night the bonds were stolen. It was better if he died accidentally and wasn't connected with a theft.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, well, now look, Miss Lamb.
Excuse me, I'll only be a minute.
Yeah, but Miss Lambrigger...
Hello? Oh, hello, Judith. Yes, wasn't it thrilling?
Miss Lambrigger, really,
Darling, it all started so innocently. My part, I mean. Well, it was about 7
Miss Lambrigger, I have...
Philip, I'll be with you in a minute.
Oh,
Philip, who? Why, the detective, the one I mentioned earlier.
a long minute, I'm sure. Goodbye, girl. When I got outside, the silence was deafening. And then I remembered that I still had a client up on Roxbury Drive who I had to see. And that there were automobiles to be exchanged, and maybe, if I could find them, some right words to say to a girl who had a very rough night. So I started driving that way, slowly. But 10 minutes later, when I was halfway there, I stopped, turned around, and headed back for 310 North Normandy, and my .38 that I'd forgotten after a handful of policemen had finished examining it. It wasn't until I was at Agatha Lambrigger's front door again that I realized something more important.
Well, then this Odom, this killer, grabbed me as a shield, Judith, and told Marlowe he had guts enough. Guts was his word, my dear.
Yes. Well, I could get my gun another day.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and star, Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Lois Corbett, Lorette Philbrandt, Lynn Allen, Peter Leeds, and John Stevenson. The special music is by Richard Orant. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It began as the threat of a beating that turned into murder with a brown-eyed blonde, a jovial hippopotamus, and a tough ex-soldier of fortune. All complicating the problem until I got next to the key man.
Will you be listening when $51,000 go on the block during Sing It Again tonight? $26,000 in fabulous prizes for solving the mystery of the Phantom Voice, and additional $25,000 in cold, hard cash for answering only one more question about the Phantom. There's many another prize, too, for unriddling the smart, tuneful little riddle songs that keep Sing It Again moving at a terrific clip for the hour that it's on the air. It'll be here a little later on most of these same CBS network stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Stay tuned now for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States, Gangbusters.
Watchful husky man of 25. Scars on face and forehead. And reportedly has home permanent wave to disguise appearance. More to follow on Gangbusters Clues.
Gangbusters, the only national program that brings you authentic police case histories, has asked Thomas J. McGrath, retired lieutenant, Chicago Police Department, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Lieutenant McGrath.
The man who lived through tonight's case, Gangbusters listeners, was second-grade detective Donald Ballard. He was neither more brave nor more intelligent than a score of other young men who could have been chosen for the assignment he accepted. One thing only prompted his selection, the fact that he had been born and raised on the West Coast. As far as Detective Ballard was concerned, the beginnings of what for him were to be 5 days of violence occurred 1,000 feet above Kansas City.
Your attention, please. This is the captain speaking. We're letting down at Kansas City. It will not be a serious delay, but we must ask you to leave the ship for about 15 minutes while a check is made on the air conditioning.
There was nothing wrong with the air conditioning, Gangbusters listeners. The airline was cooperating with an urgent request made by the police department of the city of Chicago, with the cooperation of the Kansas City police. What brought about the unscheduled landing was a passenger of about 30, tall, very well dressed, very dangerous. His name was Frank Lustin. As the plane set down and taxied in, 3 men waited at a window overlooking the field of the Kansas City terminal. Captain Peter Steele and Detective Ballard of the Chicago Police, and Captain Norman Marcus of the Kansas City Force.
Well, that's our plane, Captain Steele. The pilot's coming in.
Yes. Ballard?
Yes, Captain.
We'll have a few minutes to talk after Captain Marcus makes the pinch.
All right, sir.
Now, you better keep out of sight and watch Lustin. Watch him for any particular mannerisms. You may have to copy them.
All right, sir.
Captain Steele?
Yes, right here.
I'm Captain Charles, the pilot. I was instructed to see you as soon as I brought the ship in.
Well, this is Captain Marcus of the Kansas City Police and Detective Ballard of the Chicago Force. Our man aboard, Captain?
I checked the manifest when the radio message came. Frank Lustin, tall man.
Well, can you point him out to us?
Yes, sir. He should be in the terminal by now.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that's Lustin over there, Captain. At the newsstand.
3 magazines, 70 cents, and the gum.
Hello, Lustin. Now, just a minute, I'm talking to you.
Me?
That's right. Just move on over here. We're police officers. Give him a good frisk, Marcus.
What's the beef?
Oh, just want to ask you a couple of questions, Frankie.
Okay. What's the beef?
You find anything on him? Loaded .38. Got a permit for this, Frankie?
Left at home, copper, along with my hunting license.
We don't like mugs carrying guns around our city.
Look, I'm just flying out of here.
I say that we got plenty of judges you can talk to.
I'll do my talking to a mouthpiece.
Come on, Lustin.
Well, Ballard, you didn't get much of a look at Lustin, did you?
Well, enough, I think. I'm about his height. Nothing very unusual about his appearance.
He was chewing gum.
Yes, the report that Lieutenant Collins gave me says Lustin doesn't smoke.
Do you?
Yes, sir, I do, but I've given it up.
Let me see your hands.
Make a chain stain between the index and the middle finger.
Well, the manicurist can get that off.
Yeah, I guess so, sir.
Now, we have a few minutes before your plane loads again. Did Lieutenant Collins tell you much about this assignment down there?
No, sir. He met me at the airport in Chicago. He just about had time enough to give me the reports on Luston and tell me to meet you here.
Uh-huh. Did he say this could be dangerous?
Yes, sir.
Well, he was right. Frankie Luston is a hired killer. Yesterday, we got a tip from the San Francisco police that he was flying to Chicago to do some work.
I see.
Now, you've heard of little Dave Yarby.
Not recently, Captain.
Well, we have. Plenty. Yarby's had more arrests and fewer convictions than any criminal in Chicago. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, he went straight. Straight. What he did was set up an outfit called Falcon Enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
All very legit. Except it isn't.
Well, what is it, Captain?
A front. Now, we're almost certain that little Dave Yarby is a banker for the biggest numbers and policy racket in the Midwest.
I see.
But we can't connect him. We put people into Falcon Enterprises, and he spots them immediately.
What does he do?
Nothing nasty, because none of our people ever got anything on him. Just fires them.
And Frankie Luston ties into this Falcon Enterprises.
The job Luston's coming back to do is for little Davy Yarby. Now, little Dave wouldn't be importing a killer except for the dirty side of his business.
So I go in as Frankie Luston.
That's right. You go in as Frankie. Now, you get in, you get some idea of how little Dave connects with the numbers. And then get out. Let him worry about where you went. And we'll take it from there.
Later that same day, high in a building overlooking Chicago's busy loop, David Yarby, president of Falcon Enterprises, talked with an associate who was not listed as an officer of the company. In the files of Chicago's Bureau of Criminal Identification, he was known as Edward Thomas. To his friends, he was Eddie the Knife.
I'm not in no position to get picked up by the homicide boys, Mr. Yarby. It's got so someone gets the business in Rain City, Wisconsin, they come knocking on my door.
I suggest it can be arranged so there'll be no danger of them knocking on your door, as you put it.
Yeah, well, you're the boss. What kind of a fee?
You'll get yours out of yours, Sam.
Yeah, Mr. Yarby. You take good care of your people.
Yeah. All of them, Eddie. Oh, fine. Yes, Miss Cal. Oh, what? Oh, just a moment. Frankie Luston out in front.
What's he using that door for, Mr. Yarby?
I don't know. Miss Carroll, you can send Mr. Luston in.
This Frankie's a good man with a gun.
The best. Doesn't worry you, does it, Eddie?
Oh, Mr. Yarby, you know me better than that. Good man with a gun don't worry me. It's just the fellas down at homicide.
Mr. Yarby, I'm Frankie Luston. Come on in, Frankie. Glad to see you.
Sorry I'm late. The plane set down in Kansas City for an equipment check.
Hi, Frankie. This is Eddie Palmer.
I'm glad to make your acquaintance, Frankie.
How are you? Well, Mr. Yarby, you got quite a business going out there.
That'll do. Sit down, Frankie.
Thanks.
Cigarette?
No, thanks. I don't use them.
Hey, you won't mind if I do. Frankie, I don't know how you handle it with Dalbo out on the coast. Back here, I'm the boss.
Sure.
My instructions were that when you got here, you were to use the private entrance. Why didn't you?
Mr. Yarby, I got a plane ticket back to San Francisco. If you want me to use it...
Maybe Frankie forgot. Oh, Mr. Yarby?
No, I didn't forget. I got a question for you, Mr. Yarby. What's the money in this job?
Dalbo told you that.
Yeah, but people have a way of changing their minds from day to day. I want to hear it from you.
$1,500.
How much in advance?
You get the whole thing when you pull off the job.
Mm-hmm. And what about expenses?
Eddie will take care of those.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll take care of that, Frankie.
Well, what's Eddie got to do with it?
Eddie will give you the job, take the expenses, and pay you off.
Then why doesn't Eddie just go ahead and do it?
Well, Frankie, look, you gotta have a finger.
You just tell me the name of the bum and where I can find him. I'll be my own finger.
Luston, you take Eddie.
I will get you away, Frankie. Gotta get you a place to stay. Getting this bum right's gonna be tricky.
Well?
Okay, Mr. Yarby, I'll take Eddie.
Attaboy, Frankie. Well, Mr. Yarby, I'll take him on down the south side and get set up. We'll be in touch,
No slip-ups. Private door's right over there. This button works it electrically.
It's a pretty good way of keeping two sides of the business separated, Mr. Yarby. Where's this lead?
So far as you're concerned, this door leads to the storage room, the carbon supply company in the next building. It's the way you will always enter and leave this office.
Sure.
We'll wait for Eddie in the storeroom.
Sure.
Mister Yarby. You know me.
Yeah, he's a real wise guy. No wonder Dalbo wants him crossed off.
Shortly after Eddie the Knife followed Detective Robert Ballard posing as killer Frankie Luston through the private exit from Little Dave Yarby's office, Captain Steele returned to his own office at Chicago Police Headquarters. His staff lieutenant, Roger Collins, was seated at the captain's desk, telephone to his ear.
Hello, Roger. Captain, telegraph room just called TWX from San Francisco asking us to hold up on the Frank Luston switch and call Jorgensen out there.
Hold up? Well, this is a fine time to tell us to hold up. Any idea why?
Well, the message just said it was urgent, Captain.
Well, then get through to him.
Operator, this is a police call. I want Captain Adolph Jorgensen, San Francisco Police. Captain Steele, Chicago Police, ready on the phone.
But by this time, Gangbusters listeners, Detective Robert Ballard had moved far beyond the possibility of any recall in his job. As Frankie Luston, he was entering a flat in a building far to the south of police headquarters.
Not bad, huh, Frankie?
Yeah, not if we're not here more than a couple of days, Eddie.
Well, what's wrong, Frankie? Nice flat, be on the icebox, real convenient to your work.
Okay. But I thought I was going to see something in Chicago. Here we're stuck out in nowhere.
Oh, you'll see plenty of Chicago once you do the job. Come on, settle down and pack your bags. Say something. Tell me about the coast, huh?
Sure.
Yeah. Beer, Frankie?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Now, he's looking at you.
Looking at you. You know, I always kind of wanted to move to the coast. Rough winters here, man.
Well, it gets foggy out there, but it's kind of nice.
You know, Frankie, when I finish this job, I may just do that. Go right out to the coast.
When you finish the job, Eddie?
Well, no offense, Frankie. Helping you, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a good gunner, I hear.
What is the job, Eddie?
Well, I'll have to point him out for you. It shouldn't be too hard because he moves around this territory.
What's that?
That? Oh, steel mills not far from here. You know, the ore boats come right into the docks.
Oh.
Play gin rummy?
Yes, son.
Well, no. I just happen to have a deck along, Frankie. Feeling I'm going to pay you $1,500, thought I might gnaw into it a little hunk. Nickel a point?
Nickel a point.
And so, Gangbusters listeners, these were the circumstances when Captain Steele's office got through to San Francisco.
Yes, this is Collins. Yes. Hello, Jorgensen. We've been having trouble getting through. The captain is here. What? Just a minute. What is it, Roger? Frankie Luston was sent up here to be killed. Dalbo wanted it done out of his territory. Little Dave Yarby is a branch.
Well, how do they know?
San Francisco picked up another squeal. Luston had been getting too tough for Dalbo. Yarby owed Dalbo a favor. For a fee, Yarby's having Luston taken care of.
That means our man, Bob Ballard.
Yes.
Hang up that phone.
Okay, San Francisco. We understand. We'll get on it. Thanks. What now?
Get a department picture of Detective Ballard. Put it in every squad, every cruiser, and have it shown to every patrolman. And if they see him, they're to stop him, get him out. Now put a 24-hour watch on little Dave Yarby's office and home. If Ballard shows, grab him.
Yes.
No, use an outside phone, Roger. I'll be using this one. Oh, Roger.
Yes, Captain.
Alert the morgue and emergency wards. We're to be notified on any unidentified dead on arrivals.
Back to Gangbusters in a moment. Cancer can be cured if treated early enough. Cancer can be treated early enough if people know cancer's 7 danger signs. You can get the information at your local chapter of the American Cancer Society. Look for the little red door in your phone book. And remember, April is the month to send your donations to Cancer, care of your post office. That's Cancer, care of your post office. Support the research aimed at wiping out killer cancer for all time. And now back to Gangbusters and Lieutenant Thomas J. McGrath.
For 24 hours, the Chicago police learned nothing about the whereabouts of Detective Donald Ballard. Detective Ballard also learned nothing, except that Eddie the Knife was a good gin player.
keep your mind on the game, Frankie. You were trying to catch a third four, and it was played already. Well, I bet you got good card sense, Frankie, the way you bluffed me into breaking up those tens.
It isn't the rummy, Eddie. What is it? The way this is set up. Some night, you were going to walk me down along the lakefront, show me a special person, and I touch off the Betsy.
Well, what's wrong with that? Hey, you wouldn't go last night. We make it tonight, huh?
This special person, Eddie. Who is he, a runner, a collector, a drop?
I didn't hear nobody talking about the numbers business.
Well, you hear me talking about it. Pretty setup job he's got. That private entrance. That how they move the money in?
Well, we should go out and find this special person now, Frankie. It's dark. You'll be around. No? I thought you was a good gun, Frankie.
I'm all right. No, what I think we should do maybe is tap a little of Yarby's expense money. Let's go out and meet up with some of the boys.
Oh, no, Frankie. Now, Mr. Yarbo, he wouldn't like it if I introduced you around.
Oh, just a couple of your top boys, Eddie. After that, we'll go find this special person of yours.
No, I'm afraid not, Frankie. We got to do the job.
Look, Eddie, we don't do the job tonight. We don't do the job until I met the boys and had a couple of laughs. Now, you want to call up Yarby and tell him that? You go ahead and call him up.
Can't reach him till tomorrow.
Okay. Deal him out, Eddie.
10 cents a point, Frankie?
10 cents.
The following morning, Captain Steele returned to his office from the telegraph room where he had scanned the early precinct reports. Lieutenant Collins was waiting for him. They had both slept on couches at headquarters that night.
Anything, Captain? No, nothing's come in from the morgue or the emergencies.
Well, he's probably all right. There may still be a chance. I know it, Roger. And we're taking it.
How?
We're going to call Captain Marcus, the Kansas City Police, and tell him let the real Frank Luston go.
But he'll be...
Certainly. Luston will come to Chicago. He doesn't know that he's to be killed. Now, he thinks there's a fee waiting for him here, and when he walks into little Dave Yarby's office and Yarby realizes he's had a plant all along, something's going to happen.
It sure will.
And we have to do just one thing. Make certain we're there when it does.
I'm sorry to have held you up, Eddie. I was on the phone with a piece of business. Well, Eddie?
Well, Frankie Luston's with Augie, Mr. Yarby.
With Augie? What's he doing with Augie?
Well, he wouldn't go with me, Mr. Yarby. He wouldn't do nothing.
Eddie, it was your idea to tell him he was going to shoot a man. It was your idea that when you got him in the waterfront, you could put a knife into him and kill him.
Well, he swallowed it, Mr. Yarby, but he keeps saying that after he meets some of the boys, he'll go with me. He keeps saying he wants to spend some of your...
Well, let him spend it. But get this over with, Eddie.
Well, that's why I put him with Augie. I didn't think Augie would tell him anything.
Why would Augie tell him anything? Augie's no idiot.
Well, I don't mean tell him anything about the fact he's back here to get knocked off. I mean he wouldn't tell him about your business. Well, this Frankie is real nosy.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's asking questions. What's in order? Does the racket work here, like on the coast? How do we handle a bank? Stuff like that.
Well, tell him.
Tell him. Well, Mr. Yarby, you said that's something you didn't want noised around.
Tell him, Eddie. Who's he gonna tell? The fish.
Police headquarters, Captain Steele speaking.
Captain, this is Lieutenant Collins.
Oh, good.
Captain, we lost Frankie Luston.
You what?
I can't tell you how it happened. We picked him up getting off the Kansas City plane, had a good tail nailed tight. And suddenly we were following an empty cab.
Collins, a detective's life depended on your maintaining that tail. Well, Luston was probably suspicious because he was picked up first in Kansas City. Well, I was an idiot not to have thought of that. What are you doing now?
Well, I figured he still had to end up at Yarby's. We're there now. We're over the building like a blanket.
Well, stick with it, Roger. I'll be down.
Lieutenant Collins was right, Gangbusters listeners, as far as he went. The stakeout on Yarby's office building was a thorough one. But around the corner and a half block away was the entrance to the building that housed the Carbon Supply Corporation. And upstairs in Yarby's office.
Who is it?
Frankie Luston from Dalgo on the coast.
What are you doing back here?
What do you think I'm doing? Gonna open this door?
What's the matter?
better. This place is too much like a kid. What's the matter?
Stand just where you are. It's all right. Hands off from your side. Okay, you're clean. So who are you?
I told you it was Frank Luston. Not changing my mind.
Try it again, buddy. I've already got one Frank Luston.
What? You mean someone has come to see you saying he was Frankie Luston? When?
When he was supposed to.
Put the right away, Mr. Yarby. I've been sitting in a jail cell in Kansas City. Took me off the plane there. You got yourself as a cop.
Can you prove it?
Got some papers I can show you, Mr. Yarby.
Well, show 'em.
Well, okay.
Yeah, Frankie, okay. Were you tailed here?
Yeah, but I lost him easy.
No one saw you use the private entrance?
Said I lost the tail.
Just a minute. Come here, Frankie. Through the blinds there, down the street, you recognize anybody?
Yeah. A big guy. Detective.
That's what I thought. You aren't carrying a gun, Frankie. How come?
They kept it in KC.
Here. Hey, use this one.
Oh, thanks. Who do I use it on?
I'm having to change my plans a little. You came back east to do a quick job for me.
For $1,500.
Now it's $2,000 on the line. Here.
Thanks, Mr. Yarby.
It's got to be now, quick. Eddie will be talking to this cop. This can't happen.
Which one you want I should handle, Mr. Yarby? Or both?
Eddie's good, man. Handle the cop.
Luston hasn't shown yet, Roger?
No, sir, Chief. I got a man up on Yarby's floor. He's scrubbing the hall. A couple of minutes ago, Yarby looked out of his office window. Anderson caught a flash of the Venetian blinds moving.
Nothing else, huh?
No, sir. You think Luston could have got a tip that he was headed for a trap?
Hardly, Lieutenant. He wouldn't have come on out to Chicago. He'd have gone right back to the coast and mailed Bobo.
Yeah, guess that's right, Chief.
Meanwhile, at 7979 Morley Terrace, Detective Donald Ballard had finally got Eddie the Knife talking, something he'd been trying to accomplish through endless games of gin rummy.
You happy now, Frankie?
Oh, sure, Eddie. You know, a fellow gets curious when he comes to a new town. He likes to know how things are done. Never can tell what tips you can pick up.
Yeah. Well, we go down to the lakefront, take care of the men now, huh?
We'll go down to the lakefront and take care of your man.
Yeah. You gonna check your gun, Frankie?
It's checked.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you checked it yesterday, didn't you?
You know, you boys are real smart back here. We aren't near that smart on the coast. Who'd think of moving into the banker for the numbers through a supply company and a special private door? That's smart.
Well, it's Mr. Yarby that's smart.
He must handle quite a bank.
Oh, I'd steal as much as $50,000 in one satchel. Are we going now, Frankie?
Look, why don't you go down the corner and get some beer ready, then we'll go, huh?
No, I think...
Eddie, I don't go unless I have some beer first.
Well, Mr. Yarby...
Yarby isn't touching off to Betsy. I am.
Well, all right, Frankie. I'll be right back.
Get me a package of gum, Eddie.
Yeah, you ought to try that double bubble gum. Hey, who are you?
You took your time making up your mind to come out. You ready? Back inside, Eddie.
Now, look, we don't want no trouble.
Step out of the way, you don't catch no trouble. You're the cop who likes to play like he's Frankie Luston.
Well, I've had jobs I enjoyed more, Luston.
Yeah. Kind of look like me, but you ain't got my class.
Hey, you Frankie Luston?
I'm Luston. Been in a Kansas City jail while this copper moved in for me.
You gonna kill him?
He's done his last job.
Then what are you gonna do, Frankie?
And I'm getting out of here. All right, cop.
Thanks, Eddie.
You see, the knife is better, cop. It don't make no noise like a gun. See, I was hired to kill Frankie Luston.
All right, Eddie, drop the knife.
Drop it? I have to cut your next, copper. I told you all those things about Mr. Yarby's business. He wouldn't like it if you could tell someone else.
Eddie, another step and I'll shoot.
Go ahead.
What?
I fixed the gun, copper. Remember I was supposed to kill Frankie Luston? Well, I thought you was him. I fixed your gun so it wouldn't fire. Now, copper.
Police emergency. Captain Steele. Steele there? Put this on the radio to him. Detective Ballard reporting. I'm at 7979 Morley. 3rd floor rear. I got 2 men here. One's dead. The other will be coming around. I'll need a surgeon. I got a knife cut. Oh, and tell him to bring some cigarettes.
Edward Palmas was tried, found guilty of murder in the 1st degree, and died in the electric chair, Gangbusters listeners. Through the information Detective Donald Ballard was able to secure, little Dave Yarby's numbers ring was broken up, and David Yarby was sentenced to prison for life.
Thank you, Lieutenant Thomas J. McGrath, retired of the Chicago Police Department. And now, Gangbusters Nationwide Clues, broadcast every week to assist American police in their war against the underworld. Attention, Gangbusters listeners. Maintain vigilance for Charles Otto Donner, wanted by the FBI for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution for the crime of burglary. His official description.
Charles Otto Donner, age 25, 5 feet 11, 190 pounds, medium build, brown hair, may be dyed red, blue-gray eyes, may wear glasses, may seek work as a machinist or construction laborer. This man has cut scars, center of forehead, and below right eye. He reportedly uses home permanent wave preparations as a means of changing his appearance.
Caution. Donner is reportedly armed and should be considered dangerous. He has indicated he will not be taken alive. If you have any information concerning the clue, notify your local police, the nearest office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters at once. Tonight's Gangbusters case was written by William L. Stewart and directed by Leonard L. Bass, with Mandel Kramer, Larry Haynes, and Ray Johnson in leading roles. This production was supervised for CBS Radio by Jerry Danzig. Art Hanna speaking. Listen next week, same time, same CBS station, to amazing facts in The Case of the Nervous Brother on Gangbusters, a production of CBS Radio in cooperation with Phillips H. Lord. Jack Benny sure gets mad easy. Tomorrow night, Rochester turns up some old Benny love letters during spring house cleaning, revealing a one-time Jack Benny nickname. Is that anything to get mad over? And then along comes the Benny press agent with a scheme for Jack to swim the big-inch pipeline for a publicity stunt. Is that anything to get mad over? Listen and laugh tomorrow night on CBS Radio to The Jack Benny Show. Stay tuned now for Gunsmoke, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station
for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the Army Nurse Corps. Our story is entitled The Gals from Dogpatch. This is the story of Captain Phyllis McConk of the Army Nurse Corps and the members of the 1st Mobile Army Surgical Hospital to reach Korea after the outbreak of fighting. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first...
With the rapid expansion of the United States Army, more nurses are needed. If you are a registered nurse, volunteer for service with the Army Nurse Corps. There are assignments in this country and overseas. Only qualified graduate nurses can fill them. Write the Surgeon General, United States Army, Washington 25, D.C. Do it now.
And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly we hail production, The Gals from Dogpatch. They called them the Gals from Dogpatch, with the American GI's ability to cover something serious with a cloak of humor. But these gals were not from any such imaginary place. They were from such real towns as Galveston and Glens Falls, Traverse City, and Tucumcari. And they were also from the Army Nurse Corps, members of the 1st Mobile Army Surgical Hospital to reach Korea. This story about the first 12 Army nurses to reach the Korean front after hostilities began starts in Tokyo. Captain Ori Gregory and Lieutenant Mary Lou Metzger, stationed at the 155th Hospital, had spent their day off picnicking. On their way back to the base, the radio in Captain Gregory's car set the girls to thinking.
Hey, Ori. Did you get to spend April in Paris? If you call 2 weeks April, I guess what? Oh, I didn't get to go overseas. The war ended a month after I joined. Well, you're overseas now, Mary Lou. And believe me, the chestnuts in blossom in Paris are nothing compared to the cherry trees in full bloom here in Tokyo. And peace. Suppose the war was pretty awful. You just pray they'll never be another. Oh, honestly, how someone like you ever happened to take up a realistic career like nursing beats me. Well, Ori! But how you happen to turn out to be such a good nurse is even more baffling. Why, if I didn't know you so well, I would...
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The United Press reports from Seoul that North Korean communist troops have crossed the 38th parallel and have engaged the South Koreans. I'll repeat that. The United Press reports from Seoul that North Korean communist troops have crossed the 38th parallel and have engaged the South Koreans. Stay tuned to the station for further bulletins.
It means war, doesn't it? Well, if it's true, we'd better beat it back to the hospital and find out what's really happening. Captain, have you heard anything here at the hospital about it? I think it's only a rumor.
Well, when my commanding officer orders me to organize the nursing service of an MASH hospital and be ready to leave for Korea in 24 hours, it's no rumor.
Oh, you're to be chief nurse, Phyllis?
Yes, heaven help me.
Taking any volunteers?
I need 11, Ori.
You only need 10 now. Count me in.
Thanks.
May I go too? Take her. She's got the stamina of a plow horse. I don't think that's much of a compliment, Ori.
It is to me, Lieutenant Metzger. Now, you two get ready to leave at 05:30 tomorrow. I've got to start lining up equipment.
If we can help, let us know. Bye, Captain.
Now, let's see. We need sterilizers, 5 operating tables.
Up 10. Okay. Sounds just like we're going on a Girl Scout hike back home. We seem to have everything. Mary, you don't have to go. Nobody will blame you if you change your mind. You hush, Ori. I'm going. I know this isn't a Girl Scout hike, and I know they're going to need nurses who are strong as plow horses like me. Mary Lou, you're a good gal. Now, I'll tell you what. Let's go to the Wisteria Gardens again.
And take pictures to send home this time.
We'll wear our fanciest jumpsuits.
Oh, this may be the last chance we have to dress up for 5 months.
I think I'll wear my new red suit.
I'll wear my white organza.
But, Mary Lou...
Yeah?
This time, don't forget the camera. Oh, these gardens are so lovely and peaceful you can hardly believe there's any fighting anywhere in the world.
Just look at all this wisteria. Well, we've got little bitty vine climbing up the veranda at home, but not like this.
Give me the camera. I'll snap you so you can send your folks a picture of you under a whole arbor of it.
Okay. I bet you thought I'd forget the camera again.
No, you wouldn't have dared. Move over that way a little more.
Huh?
Here. Hey, I better take another, though, just in... Mary Lou.
What's wrong, Lori?
You remembered the camera, but you forgot to put in any film.
Oh, my, how could I have been so crazy?
Oh. Excuse me, ladies. I couldn't help overhearing what you said. Won't you use my camera?
Oh, that's mighty sweet of you, Lieutenant.
Always glad to help a lady in distress, especially pretty ones.
Thank you. Here, Mary Lou. Watch the birdie.
You girls going to be in Tokyo long?
Oh, no, we're leaving in the morning.
Uh-huh. Well, if you give me your name and address, I'll be glad to mail you the print negative of that.
Oh, you stationed here permanently?
Yes, I'm in finance.
Here's my name and where to send the picture, Lieutenant.
155th Hospital?
Yes. We're Army Nurse Corps.
I thought you were tourists.
Oh, hey, look at the time. Mary, we've got to get back.
Oh, won't you let me buy your girl a soda
Oh,
first?
we'd love to, but we'll have to take a rain check.
It's a date. When?
5 months.
5 months?
To the day. We're leaving in the morning for a tour of duty in Korea.
Well, good luck. But it's still a date.
Your attention, please, girls. Orders are to set up the hospital in this abandoned schoolhouse and be ready to receive patients in 24 hours. Our equipment and cleaning supplies haven't arrived, but this building must be cleaned up. You can see how filthy it is. How this is to be done, I leave to your ingenuity. Use plenty of disinfectant and DDT every crack and crevice. Captain Gregory.
Yes, Captain?
You're in charge of the cleaning detail. Lieutenant Hardy, get another detail and keep them supplied with water.
Oh, it's easy, Ori.
Easy to make a broom?
Sure. We cut off some branches from those bushes and tie them together with a string.
Oh. What do we use for handles?
Tree branches, silly.
Well, now, how on earth did you figure that out?
I learned it in the Girl Scouts.
Mary Lou, you are a constant surprise to me.
These brooms are working very well indeed. Well, thank heaven some of the equipment's arriving. We'll be ready in time. The operating room is all set up in the other room. We have no bed, so make up the litters on the floor here. 2 sheets to each one. 2 clean sheets will do more for the boys' morale than anything else. Now, when this is done, give the men a hand in getting your tents up. And don't forget mosquito netting. Each of you take a helmet full of water.
Oh, brother, can I sleep? I thought we'd never get the tent up in all that wind.
I don't understand it, Ori. It was never this hard when I was a Girl Scout.
Hey, turn that flashlight over this way while I take a cold shower in my helmet.
Isn't it awful? And now school is clean and we're not.
Personally, I think if we just stood outside in the rain, we'd have a better... Oh, but I know what is it.
Cold and clammy in my bathtub.
What was that? Give me the flashlight. Something like a boat house.
Oh, it is.
Don't be scared. He won't hurt you.
How can you touch him?
Poor little fellow. Here, you use my helmet, Mary Lou. Why, he's just come to welcome us to our new home.
He came with a fighter escort. Those Korean mosquitoes are more like heavy bombs.
Oh, quick. Let's hide behind a cloud of mosquito netting before they get us in their sight. Ooh, and turn off the flashlight so it won't attract another squadron.
Okay. Ori? I'm worried about tomorrow.
Go to sleep. If you could come through today and still look fresh as a daisy, you'll be all right tomorrow.
No, I mean... Do you think it'll be pretty awful?
We'll manage somehow.
Yeah, but... Do you think there'll be lots of patients? We're likely to be plenty busy. What's so awful? There are so few of us. Yes, I know. We always need more nurses. Well, night, Ola. Night.
For the first patient, Captain?
Yes, Major Brent, all ready.
Better have one of your nurses give him plasma before we take him to the operating room.
Yes, sir. How do things look?
Pretty bad, I'm afraid. The enemy still has the offensive.
Well, they're ready. Receiving ward, 5 operating tables, ward for critical cases. I set up this crew. No running water, of course, but my nurses are the best.
Well, that's the most important thing, Captain. Oh, carry that man in here, please, men.
What's the diagnosis, Major Brent?
Abdominal wounds, machine gun fire.
What do you order, sir?
He's just had a shot of penicillin and one of sodium amytal. Give him 500 cc's of whole blood and prepare him for surgery.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Metzger?
Yes, sir.
Prepare this man for surgery as soon as you can after administering transfusion.
Yes, ma'am. And I'll just relax, Corporal. You're going to be all right. No. Don't try to open your eyes. I'm just taking off your temporary bandage. Be as gentle as I can.
Well, you're the prettiest medic I ever saw.
Just keep your eyes closed a minute.
I can't close my eyes. Too glad to see you.
Mighty glad you can see me, too.
Captain Gregg, you get some sleep?
I had some sleep yesterday, so.
2 hours.
How much did you get?
Well, that's beside the point.
I thought so. I bet you haven't had 2 hours sleep in the whole 2 weeks here.
Lieutenant Gibbs went to sleep standing up a while ago. I don't want that to happen anymore now. Get some rest.
Is that a direct order, Captain?
Not if you're sure you can carry on.
Thank you, Phyllis. I can.
Oh, there were only a dozen more anesthetists and more nurses and doctors. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to see Major Brant right away.
So I hope he lets you get some sleep. Bring in the next patient.
This pilot just came in, Major. He's pretty badly hit, I'm afraid.
All right, I'll take a look at him, Captain. Let's go.
Such a sad case. A little 14-year-old Korean boy helped bring him in. He got caught in some machine gun fire, and now the boy's wounded, too.
Poor kid.
Here they are, Major.
All right, let's see. Fracture of the femur. Penetrating wounds in her extremities.
Doc, take care of the little guy.
And we will, son. We will.
Doc, I was on reconnaissance where they got me. They got 3 divisions back up there. Bearing down this way. We only got 1. If they break through...
Oh, thanks, Captain. We'll be prepared. Oh, Captain. We're going to evacuate the hospital.
Yes, Mr. Brant. Not bad, is it?
Afraid so. Looks like a major breakthrough.
Then you don't think our boys can...
No, I think they can, but it's a question of time, though, now.
Oh, they'll be ready to move.
That must have been the railroad bridge. We had it dynamited just in case.
Dynamited? But, Major, if the bridge is out, the train can't get through. And if it doesn't come, how can we transfer our patients to a point of safety?
I'll turn that problem over to the CEO. He'll get a train here if he has to build one.
We just have to trust in some miracle. Well, we'll start getting the patients ready for transfer to the loading platform. Captain Gregory?
Yes, Captain?
Take only such personal belongings as you can carry by hand.
Yes, Captain.
Where's Lieutenant Metzger?
Yes, ma'am.
Send Lieutenant Gibbs here right away.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant, hey, look.
Dear God, let us get away out of here in time.
You are listening to the proudly hailed production, The Gals from Dogpatch. Our story will continue in just a moment after this important message.
Here's a message to young women with college degrees in physical education or the biological sciences.
you may be eligible for a commission as a physical therapist in the Women's Medical Specialist Corps. Receive all the benefits of a second lieutenant while you attend the Army Special Physical Therapy course. Write the Surgeon General, Department of the Army, Washington 25, D.C.
You are listening to Proudly We Hail. And now we present the second act of The Gals from Dogpatch. Now it was the courage of desperation. Ready to drop in their tracks, Captain LeCompte and 11 bone-tired Army nurses worked feverishly to dismantle the hospital and transfer the patients to the landing platform, where they hoped the commanding officer would send a train to move the hospital back to safety. But not daring to use a light of any kind, they worked by the glare of bursting shells. Captain LeCompte was supervising from the landing platform.
Bring that man right over here, please. Where is that train that ever comes?
That's the last patient, Captain.
Oh, good. Everything in order? Plasma bottles handy?
Everything's taken care of.
Thank you. And we're all ready to move.
Sarge!
Yes, soldier. What is it?
We're getting out of here. They're going to get us.
Oh, there. Now it's all right. We have plenty of time. Train will be here in a moment.
A train? And any train? Why don't you tell us the truth?
Corporal, I am telling the truth. The train will come.
Corey, you really think the cat's going to find a train? I know it. You can manage anything. Mary, what on earth are you doing? Putting on some lipstick. From the light of those shells? Sure. Now, don't tell me you learned that in the Girl Scouts.
Major Branch, it's got to do something. We've got to move these boys.
Yes, I know, Captain. The train should have been here long ago.
But maybe it didn't get across the river. Isn't there some other way?
I've got 3 jeeps, but that's not enough to move all those men.
No. Well, we could get them all into that boxcar on the side, and only we had a way to move the boxcar.
I wish I knew magic.
Then you could turn 3 jeeps into one locomotive.
No use wasting What did you say, Captain?
I said then you could turn 3 jeeps into one locomotive.
I misunderstood, but I just had an idea.
But you couldn't mean to hitch the jeeps to the boxcar instead of an engine.
Why not? 2 in tandem could certainly pull that freight car down the track with a couple of tow chains.
Oh, mate.
I will have that boxcar pulled over to the landing platform and the patient safely behind the lines in no time. Captain, bring your driver here. I've just had a great idea.
It was a miracle we got the patients out and settled back here without losing a single one. The only casualty of the trip was our clothes, thanks heaven. Oh, hey, I'm plumb out of soap powder. Doesn't matter. Here's our last sheet. Ori, I've rubbed my fingers off of the second joint on this washboard. I never realized before that the automatic laundry was the most important part of a hospital. Now for a bath and some clean clothes. Borrowed, but clean. One good thing about moving, we got fresh bath water for our helmets. What size shirt did you get, Mary? 17.5. Wowie. The shoulder seams hang down to your elbows. Judging by these garments they lend us, all soldiers are built like Superman. Well, we can reach in the trousers with a belt and roll up our sleeves and pant legs. But what are we going to do about these shoes? I don't know. This pair I drew were the smallest they had, and they look big enough for Goliath. Look at them, Mary Lou. We'll fall all over the patients with these things on, providing we find a way to keep them on. Hey, I know what let's do. You got 3 pair of those heavy wool socks, didn't you? Yes. Well, maybe if we put on all 3 pair at once, it'll help the shoes to fit. We've got to try it. We're on duty in 10 minutes.
Man, did you ever see anything funny?
Funnier than what?
Yeah, those nurses in their borrowed GI clothes.
Well, they weren't made to fit the female of the species.
Especially the shoes. With those tapes hanging out the back and all of 5 sizes too big. You know, those girls look like a bunch of gals from Dogpatch.
Gals from Dogpatch. Yeah, they sure do. Oh, hey, look at that one coming. Huh? Uh-oh, I hope she didn't hear us.
Doctor. Hey, Doc.
I'm not the doctor. I'm the nurse, but may I help you?
Oh, nurse, I heard your footsteps. It sounded like...
I know. We liked our clothes when we moved here, and we're wearing government issue. I overheard a couple of boys calling us Mrs. Gals from Dogpatch. Now do you get the picture?
Yeah, thanks. I wish I could see you in those clodhopper shoes.
Don't worry, you will pretty soon. Now, what can I do for you, soldier?
I wondered if you'd write a letter to my mother for me.
Well, of course.
I know you're busy.
Not too busy to write to your mother.
And you'll mail it right away?
Of course.
It's terribly important, you see. I know she'll get a letter from the Adjutant General. I'd rather she heard it from me first.
Heard what from you?
Then I'm blind.
How do you know you are?
Can't you see these bandages over my eyes?
Oh, certainly, but that doesn't prove anything. Here, let me take a look at your chart.
Oh, stop all that. Just write the letter, won't you?
Well, from the looks of this, it won't be necessary. And it would be pretty hard for your mother to get a letter like this from you if there was no need for it.
What do you mean? I just don't want her to hear it from the Army first.
Private Vosburgh, according to your record, you've been badly wounded with involvement of the eyes. But you're due to be flown out of here in a couple of hours to a hospital in Tokyo, where there's every reason to believe that expert surgery will save your sight. Why not write the letter after that?
Honest?
Honest.
And the Army won't write Mom until after that?
No.
Well, if you're sure.
I'm certain of it. Now, don't you worry about it.
I just want to remind you, Captain, there's a tremendous risk of both you and your patients being clobbered between here and the airstrip. You hear that heavy barrage of artillery going on?
It's a calculated risk, Major.
But assuming you got through, there aren't any Air Force nurses available to care for patients on the plane. They're all out on scheduled evacuation missions.
Then I'll try with them.
But, Captain, we can't run this hospital without you.
We'll manage. These patients need complicated surgery as soon as possible. Delay would be tragic. I'll be back in 24 hours. See you tomorrow, Major. We're almost there, boys. We're circling the field now.
Captain LaCote.
Yes, Private Vosburgh.
I'm scared.
Oh, but you're doing beautifully. I couldn't have managed without your optimism and good humor to help me keep the other patients going.
I was just whistling in the dark. What am I saying? I'll always be in the dark from now on.
You're going to see again. I know it. I'm going to be right with you until after the operation so I can say I First operation, Doctor.
Successful, Captain LeConte. The boy will recover his sight.
I knew it.
But if the operation had been delayed another 2 hours, well, you're doing a wonderful job, you gals from Dogpatch.
What?
Oh, I beg your pardon, Captain. It slipped out.
That's all right, but how did you know they called us that?
Well, news travels with the speed of light in the Army. Good news, that is.
Have you heard how things are going in our sector?
No, I haven't.
Oh. Well, the news isn't good, I'm afraid. I've got to get right back. Give my best to Private Vosburgh, will you?
Captain LeConte, you haven't had any sleep.
I'll sleep on the plane. Leave in 10 minutes. Well, how's it going, Captain Gregory?
Oh, Phyllis, thank heaven you're back.
The artillery. What's happened?
Isn't it wonderful? Let's just say we cut them off at the pass.
Oh, I'm so glad. So very glad. Now, let's get back to work.
So ended the first 2 weeks the Army Nurse Corps spent in Korea. But for more than 4 months, they continued working under unbelievably difficult conditions with courage, skill, and good humor, saving lives. And perhaps even more important, helping wounded soldiers recover completely. Finally, in November, their tour of duty over, the first 12 Army nurses to land in Korea returned to Tokyo. Among them, Captain Gregory and Lieutenant Metzger. Their first day back, the two girls returned to Kanedo Park to keep a casual appointment they'd made 5 months before.
Well, there's the pack of boxes. Well, let's wait for a while, Mary Lou. Probably the lieutenant's forgotten all about that rain check, or it was 5 months ago.
He'll show, don't worry.
We don't even know his name.
Hey, you girls waiting for an ice cream
Well,
soda?
Henry, howdy.
Hi.
You bet me you'd forgotten.
Well, I bet myself you'd forget, but I checked to see when you'd get back just in case.
Oh, we had to come to thank you for sending the picture.
Oh, don't mention it. Incidentally, I know you're Lieutenant Metzger, but I wonder if you might be Captain LaCombe.
No, I'm Captain Gregory. Why?
Oh, well, my brother told me how grateful all the boys in Korea are to all you Army nurses, but he said Captain LaCombe was an angel. He saved them from going blind by flying with him all the way to Tokyo.
Oh, you must be talking about Private Buster.
Yeah. Did you know him?
As a matter of fact, we did.
Oh, well, knowing my brother makes us practically old friends. Hey, hand me that camera so I can take a picture of you two and send it to him.
Sure, here you are, Lieutenant Buster.
Thanks. Now, you two stand there by that japonica bush. Now, smile. That's good. I better take another, though, just to make sure. Uh-oh.
Mary Lou. Oh, I swear I put film in on the boat.
No.
Well, to tell the truth, Lieutenant, your brother wouldn't recognize us all slicked up in dress uniform anyhow. Suppose you send him this picture I have in my wallet instead. Mean a lot more to him.
What's this? It's like one of those comic strip characters, one of the gals from Dogpatch.
And that's what they called us, and now you see why.
Oh, but that isn't a picture of you.
No. It's a picture of a good friend of your brother's, Captain Phyllis LaCombe.
Oh, thanks. It's a funny thing. My brother told me she was an angel, and this is the first time I ever saw an angel wearing size 9 infantry boots.
If you are a registered nurse, there are outstanding opportunities for you in the Army Nurse Corps, a nursing career with a future, offering world travel, specialized training, and a good salary. You will begin as a commissioned officer, enjoying the same prestige, pay, and benefits as the male officers. You'll work with the best of equipment, develop your professional skills. You receive a 30-day vacation each year with pay. Most important, you will get a tremendous satisfaction from your work, and you'll be doing your country a vital service. Act now. Write the Surgeon General, U.S. Army Nurse Corps, Washington 25, D.C.
This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in the same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Well, once again, it's time to keep that weekly date with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson. Let's join him, shall we?
Come in, Mr. Bell.
Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, my boy.
How are you feeling after your Christmas holiday?
Remarkably well, thank you, Mr. Bell, considering how extremely hospitable my friends have been. Just a twinge or two of gout to remind me that an old man should treat tawny port with the respect that it deserves.
I know just what you mean, Dr. Watson.
Draw up your usual chair, my boy, and settle yourself down. That's it.
All ready with tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure, Dr. Watson?
Yes, Mr. Bell. And when I was going over my notes on the case just before you arrived, I came across this white feather. It played a prominent part in tonight's adventure.
A white feather. That signifies cowardice, doesn't it?
Yes, it can, Mr. Bell, it can. But this is a very special feather. It was plucked from a white cockerel, and it helped Sherlock Holmes to foil one of the most diabolical plots that we ever encountered. But first, don't you want to have your usual word with our listeners?
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Men, if you want to stand out in the crowd, remember, well-groomed hair means a lot to a man's appearance. And I'm sure you'll want to know why so many of America's most prosperous and successful men use Kreml hair tonic. You see, Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This is why Kreml gives a man's hair such a natural, well-groomed look. It keeps hair neatly in place longer, too. Yet Kreml never leaves the hair looking or feeling greasy, sticky, or dirty. Just make this test, men. After you apply Kreml, rub your hand over your hair. Notice how delightfully clean your hair feels. Notice how no greasy film comes off on your hand or on your hat band. Kreml always gives your hair such a handsome, clean-cut appearance. At the end of the day, your hair looks just as neatly groomed as when you combed it in the morning. Buy a bottle at any drug counter. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the story of the white cockerel?
Well, Mr. Bell, that adventure took place after Sherlock Holmes had given up his regular practice and retired to his bee farm on the Sussex Downs. I was staying with him there for a few weeks' holiday, and I remember coming down to breakfast one morning to find my old friend, his pipe clenched between his teeth, squatting on a stool, examining the contents of a large metal box at his feet. As he threw back the lid, I could see that the box was half full of papers. Papers tied up with red tape in separate packages. After sorting through them for a few moments, he turned to me and said,
"A box of secrets, my dear Watson. A box of deep, dark secrets."
Are they the records of your early cases, huh?
Yes, my boy. These were all done before my biographer had come to glorify me.
I've often wished that I had the notes on them.
So that you might transmute my little adventures into those rather florid stories of yours?
My stories aren't florid. They're factual accounts of what happened.
Oh, don't be hurt, my dear fellow. It's much too early in the day. Well, Watson, perhaps someday the world will hear of these cases. They're not all successes, but there are some pretty little problems among them.
I'm sure there are.
For example, here's the record of the Tarleton murders. And here's the case of Banbury, the wine merchant.
What happened to him?
He died, Watson, under peculiarly horrible circumstances.
Oh, really?
That case was one of my failures, I'm afraid. Aha! This adventure was really a little recherche. It's a full account of Ricoletti of the clubfoot and his abominable wife.
Yes, I vaguely remember a dreadful woman.
Ghosts from the past, Watson. Ghosts to remind me that my heyday's long past.
Rubbish. I'm quite sure that if a case were to present itself at this moment, you'd be totally unable to resist it.
You're wrong, old chap. Look at this note. Arrived just before you came downstairs. Mr. Manderby, the local squire, apparently needs my help. And yet I assure you I'm not in the least tempted to give it to him.
May I see it?
Certainly. Here.
Dear Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I need your help desperately. Have the goodness to call on me as soon as convenience permits. Continued theft of chickens may appear to be a small matter. Chickens, good gracious me. But I assure you that there are sinister forces at work. Asking you to catch a chicken thief. Well, really, Holmes.
Yes, Watson. Chickens. Something of a come-down, isn't it?
Well, do you know this, Mr. Manderby?
No. But surely his handwriting gives you a clue to his character?
Well, it's legible and regular. A man of business habits, I should say, and of some force of character.
No, Watson.
Oh, sorry?
Look at his long letters. They hardly rise above the common herd. That D might be an A, and the L an E. Men of character always differentiate their long letters, however illegibly they may write. There's vacillation in his case and self-esteem in his capital.
That's amazing, Holmes.
It's elementary, my dear Watson, and our long association together should remind you of the fact. I'm afraid you're getting rusty.
Well, perhaps you're getting rusty too, Holmes, and since the sun is shining and this letter comes from a neighbor of yours, it might be rather interesting to...
Call on Mr. Manderby.
Exactly. I'd like to see if your analysis of his character matches the gentleman himself. In any case, Holmes, he may really be in trouble, you know.
Watson, you're like an old war horse hearing a nearly forgotten bugle.
Yeah, I dare say, Holmes. But even for stolen chickens, it's good to be in harness with you again.
When that wistful tone creeps into your voice, I can't refuse you, Watson. Very well. Let's stroll across the downs and investigate the mystery of Mr. Manderby's chickens.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad you and your friend came here so promptly.
It would seem to me, Mr. Manderby, that your wisest course would have been to call in the local police.
I did. And the idiots scoffed at me.
Indeed, Mr. Manderby. Why?
Well, they said if they had to track down all the chicken thieves in these parts, they'd have no time for their more important duties.
I must admit that I can follow their reasoning, sir.
Well, I can't, since they seem to spend most of their time playing skittles in the Star and Garter. The local sergeant appears to have been selected for his complete lack of grey matter. Doesn't one iota of imagination. He's unable to see in what respect this differs from an ordinary chicken theft.
Well, in what way does it differ, Mr. Manderby?
Well, the chicken coops were broken into with considerable ingenuity. The thief could have taken all he could carry. But he stole only one chicken, a white cockerel.
A white cockerel? When did this take place?
Early last evening. That was when I sent my note to you, Mr. Holmes. But in the early hours of this morning, a burglar broke into the house itself.
And what was stolen this time?
Again, the thief took only one object. My daughter's hairbrush.
Does your daughter know of these thefts?
No, I didn't tell her. The child's full enough of peculiar fancies as it is.
A white cockerel and a hairbrush. Mr. Manderby, I came here against my better judgment, but thank heaven I did. Please let me talk to your daughter at once. Unless I'm very much mistaken, there's devil's work afoot.
Alicia's playing in the drawing room. I'll take you in.
I think, if you don't mind, Mr. Manderby, that we would prefer to see her alone.
Rubbish. What could you possibly wish to say to my daughter that you couldn't say in front of me?
Well, since my friend has been kind enough to help you, sir, I think you'd better let him conduct his investigation in his own manner.
Oh, very well. All sounds unnecessarily mysterious to me. I'll be in my study.
Dreadfully pompous fellow. You were right in your analysis of his character, Holmes. Well, let's go in.
Shh. Listen to the piano, Watson.
What a weird tune.
Yes. An odd, primitive melody to hear in the heart of the English countryside. Very curious.
Come in. I'm sorry, Father. Oh, it isn't Father. Who are you, gentlemen?
Miss Manderby, permit me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, my dear?
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I knew you lived in the neighborhood. But why are you here?
At your father's request.
Oh, nothing's wrong, is it, Mr. Holmes?
I'm not sure, Miss Manderby. That's why we've come to talk to you.
Oh, may we sit down, my dear?
Oh, yes, of course. Please forgive me.
Thank you, sir.
You play the piano excellently, Miss Manderby. Have you ever thought of concert work?
Concert work? Oh, no, sir. Papa'd never allow it. He needs me here all the time.
You don't see many people here at the house.
No, Dr. Watson. Papa doesn't like me to cultivate any friends. He wishes me to devote all my attention to him.
Extremely selfish and medieval point of view, it would seem to me.
Oh, please, Mr. Holmes, you mustn't say anything against Papa. If he knew that we were talking about him, he'd be furious.
Then let me confine myself to you, Miss Manderby. Do you know of anyone in this neighborhood who might wish you serious harm?
No, I don't. As I told you, I hardly know anyone.
Then why, my dear young lady, are you so obviously terrified of your own shadow?
Oh, please don't ask me that. I haven't even had the courage to tell Papa.
Possibly not, my dear, but Mr. Holmes is here to help you and to protect you. That's why he insisted on our seeing you alone.
Yes, Miss Manderby. And a trouble shared, you know?
Very well, Mr. Holmes. I will tell you. I've got to tell someone. Last night I had a ghastly dream. I dreamed that I was in some foreign country, in the jungle. I was tied to a stone slab, and a group of natives danced around me, waving knives. And they were all wearing terrifying masks.
Oh, my dear, it sounds like too much lobster for supper.
Quiet, Watson.
Oh, sorry.
Please continue, Miss Manderby.
all the time I could hear a strange, haunting pipe playing in the background. It sounded like some sort of flute, and there was a drum beating out a slow, rhythmic beat.
The same rhythm that you were playing on the piano as we came in?
Why, yes. It's been haunting me ever since I awakened this morning. It goes like this. Suddenly, Mr. Holmes, I awakened from the nightmare, but I could still hear the melody continuing. I went to the window, and in the moonlight, I saw a tall man walking below.
Could you recognize him?
No, Mr. Holmes. He was disappearing through the shrubbery, and his back was turned. But his hands were raised to his mouth. And I could hear the same melody being played on some kind of flute. It was awful, awful.
You haven't told your father about it?
No, Dr. Watson. He wouldn't have believed me. Papa's always accusing me of being fanciful. Oh, but I'm not. Really, I'm not.
Miss Manderby, I'm glad that you've told us this, though I suggest that you continue to keep the incident a secret from your father.
Very well, Mr. Holmes.
Come on, Watson.
All right, Holmes. Goodbye, my dear, and courage, Miss Manderby. You have friends now.
Good day, gentlemen. Thank you.
Holmes, what the devil's all this about?
When I can answer that question, Watson, the case was solved. As it is, there's work to be done.
Ah, there you are, Holmes.
Yes, Mr. Manderby. Here we are.
Yeah, I hope you found out what's wrong with the lassie. She hasn't been herself today.
A change from her normal self, where you are concerned, might be a benefit, sir.
Yes, indeed. The poor girl seems completely terrified of you, sir.
The problem of my daughter's relationship with her father is no possible concern of yours. I asked you here on a simple matter of detection.
Detection, yes, but far from simple. I warn you, you're in serious danger of the loss of a great deal more than a white cockerel and a hairbrush. Be on your guard, Mr. Manderby. Dr. Watson and I must conduct a little investigation in the village. You may expect a call from us later in the day. Well, Watson, here we are at the Larches.
Charming house, but I still don't see quite why we're here.
Because my inquiries uncovered the fact that this is the only house in the neighborhood with relatively new tenants. When something extraordinary happens in the peaceful countryside, look first for a newcomer. The owner's name is Mr. George Shapley. Let's see what information the gentleman can give us.
Listen to that, Holmes. Sounds like a flute.
Yes, Watson. And the melody is the same that Miss Manderby played for us on the piano.
And this house is only a stone's throw away from hers.
Precisely.
Yes, gentlemen.
Mr. Shapley?
Yes?
My name is Holmes, and this is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, sir?
How are you, Doctor? What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm something of a student of music. We were walking past your house, and I heard what sounded like a flute playing a strange melody.
It seemed to come from the direction of the stables over there.
Oh, that. It's my manservant, Harker. He's a West Indian. Brought him over with me from Trinidad. He's quite a musician. In an amateur sort of way, you know.
I wonder if I might speak to him.
Of course you can, Mr. Holmes. I'll walk you over there.
Thank you. We were thinking of getting up a little entertainment in the village for the church ladies' bazaar. Perhaps your man would consider contributing his services.
You can ask him. He spends 2 or 3 hours a day out here practicing. Harker!
Yes?
Come here a minute.
Yes, Mr. Pepper.
These gentlemen heard you playing and wondered if you'd like to do something for some village concert or other.
Oh, that's flattering.
We're organizing a musical soiree for the church ladies in a few weeks.
Yes, sir, man, and we'd like you to play for us.
Oh, I'm only an amateur, but I'll be very glad to help, gentlemen.
That instrument you were playing, it had an odd quality. Was it a flute?
Yes, sir. Though I doubt if you've ever seen one like it. Look for yourself.
Good Lord. Looks as if it's made of bone.
It is, sir. From a human leg bone.
Really?
It's about 200 years old and originally came from Brazil. It's quite a collector's item.
I'm sure it is. Tell me, Harker, since you're from the West Indies and obviously a lover of music, I presume you're familiar with some of the primitive melodies indigenous to that part of the world? Some of the tribal chants, for instance?
Oh, yes, sir. I know many of them.
Perhaps you'd play some at the concert.
I'd rather not, sir.
primitive chance or dangerous medicine when their evil powers are not appreciated or understood.
I quite agree with you, Harker. Well, I'm much obliged to you, and we shall count on you for the concert. Good day to you both. Come on, Watson.
Good day.
Good day.
Dr. Watson.
That servant's our man, Holmes. He lives within 2 houses of Miss Manderby, and he plays the flute.
Well, Watson, though I don't think the pattern is remotely as clear as you think, I'll agree that suspicion would seem to focus on the servant Harker. I could even produce another clue that points to it.
You could?
I picked this object from his coat as he turned to you during the conversation. None of you noticed it.
What is it?
Look for yourself, Watson. Here.
Great heavens. It's a feather from a white cockerel. Holmes, I thought you said we were going back to Mr. Manderby's house before the day's over.
We are, Watson.
Why are we back here at your bee farm? It's 8:30 in the evening now.
We shall call on Mr. Manderby before long. My investigations are complete. What luck did you have with
I did
yours?
as you told me and made exhaustive inquiries in the village.
With what results?
I couldn't find out much about Mr. Shapley. Nobody knows anything about the man except that he has a foreign manservant and that he paid cash for his house and deposited a large sum of money in the local bank. What did you discover? I see that you've been up to your ears in reference books.
Yes, Watson. Books concerning the peculiarly revolting ceremonies connected with voodooism.
Voodooism? That's black magic.
But flourishing in our English countryside, apparently. A white cockerel is the second finest sacrifice in voodoo magic associated with the West Indian
That
chants.
accounts for the first theft. How about the stolen hairbrush?
In all such magic, the possession of intensely personal objects, particularly human hair, is considered to give great supernatural powers over that person.
Then it's obvious that West Indian servant is trying to get power over Miss Manderby. Holmes, you spoke of a white cockerel being the second finest sacrifice. What is the first?
A human sacrifice. The sacrifice of a young girl.
Great Scott!
And tomorrow night the moon is full. I think that tonight the girl should be safe, though of course we'll go over there at once.
Look, Holmes, the lights of a carriage are coming up your driveway.
And it's no social call. It's driving at a gallop. Come on, Watson.
I have nothing that's happened to Miss Manderby already before we get to her.
Who is it? What's wrong?
It's Robert Manderby.
What's happened, Mr. Manderby?
Monsieur, my daughter, she's disappeared. The whole neighborhood's searching for her. For heaven's sake, further, you come at once.
We'll find out in a moment what Sherlock Holmes decides to do now. But first, men, why not start today and take better care of the hair you've got? Remember, one of the first requisites of handsome, healthy-looking hair is a hygienic scalp. So why settle for just any hairdressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of a highly specialized hair tonic like Kreml? Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This is why it keeps unruly hair neatly in place longer, with a rich, healthy-looking luster. Yet Kreml never gives hair that cheap, greasy, patent leather look. It never leaves hair feeling sticky, gummy, or dirty. Your hair and scalp always look and feel so clean with Kreml. And if your hair is so dry it breaks and falls when you comb it, start using Kreml at once. Let it make your hair feel softer, more pliable, and look as if it had some body to it. Kreml is also fine to lubricate a dry scalp. At the same time, it removes dandruff flakes. A quick massage with Kreml helps stimulate the cutaneous circulation of the scalp. Notice how alive, how invigorated your scalp feels. So for better groomed hair, a hygienic scalp, use Kreml daily. K-R-E-M-L. Kreml Hair Tonic. Well, Dr. Watson, what happened next? You and the great Sherlock Holmes drove over to Mr. Manderby's house, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Bell, as fast as a pony and trap could carry us there. When we arrived, Manderby quickly led us to the shrubbery beneath his daughter's window.
Yes, you can see how the fiend got into the house, Mr. Holmes.
By climbing this trellis work. Footprints in the earth leading toward it, but none leaving.
And the man, whoever he was, must have left the house by some other exit.
An amazing deduction, Watson.
There's no need to be sarcastic. Holmes, we should go over to Shapley's house at once. It's obvious that that's where the danger lies.
Before saying that anything is obvious, Watson, I'd like your help in trying an experiment.
Yes, of course, Holmes. Well, what is it?
Try climbing that trellis for me, will you?
You give me all the best jobs, don't you? Lend me a hand, will you, Uncle?
Here you are. Up you go.
You know, Holmes, it seems to me you're wasting valuable time.
Mr. Manderby, since you asked my help, I suggest you let me handle the case in my own way.
Holmes, I don't think this trellis is going to hold my weight. Look out, Holmes! Oh!
Bravo, Watson. Your test has been invaluable.
What do you mean it's been invaluable? I think I've broken my back.
I'm sure you'll survive. Come on, old chap. Get on your feet. We'll go to Mr. Shapley's house at once. I only hope we're not too late to prevent a tragedy.
There's a light coming from the stables, Holmes.
Music, too. Listen.
It's that West Indian playing his devilish chant again.
Faster, Watson.
Look. There's someone standing in the shadows by the harness room there.
It's Mr. Shapley. Good evening, sir.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, thank heavens you're here.
What's wrong, Mr. Shapley?
Look in that empty store there. You can see through the broken plank in the wall. The one where the music's coming from.
Good heavens. Look, Holmes. There's Miss Manderby lying on the floor unconscious.
Yes, with a dead white cockerel beside her and a fire smoldering in the corner.
And you think that servant of mine's in there playing his filthy music?
I don't see him.
Mr. Holmes, I've got a revolver. I'm going in to get him.
I think we'll come with you, Mr. Shapley.
No. He's my servant. I'll take care of him myself.
Arch him, Watson. Give me that revolver. Give it to me, I say.
What do you think you're doing, Mr. Holmes?
I told you not to knock the revolver right out of his hand.
Pick it up, Watson. I have a profound dislike for seeing murder committed under my very eyes.
Murder? But the potential murder is Harker, the servant.
Indeed. Then why is his unconscious body lying in the corner there?
It can't be. The music's still playing. That's his flute.
Yes, and it's accompanied by a drum. A remarkable feat even for a man not lying unconscious on the floor. The music is undoubtedly that of a gramophone. You're remarkably quiet, Mr. Harker.
All I see is he's unconscious.
My dear Watson, you're overlooking an important fact. It's a case of identity. The West Indian gentleman lying on the floor is the master, Mr. Shapley. This man is the servant, Harker. No, you don't. Vagabond!
I've got him, Holmes.
Let go of me. You can't prove anything.
I can and I will. You'll go to prison for this night's work. Watson, see what may be done to arrive at the house while I turn this man over to the police. How is Miss Manderby, Watson?
She's going to be all right, Holmes. I took her home to her father's and left instructions for her care. How are you feeling, Shapley?
Fine, thank you, Dr. Watson. But I'm waiting for Mr. Holmes to explain this nice happenings to me.
So am I, as usual.
Then let me analyze this singular affair in its logical progression. I early concluded that you, Mr. Shapley, were the master, and the other man was the servant.
Right, Mr. Holmes, but I didn't know how you knew it.
Your speech and manner suggested nothing else. You reversed roles, I imagine, because it was an easier way to rent a house in the English countryside.
That was the reason, Mr. Holmes. In my previous visits, I've discerned a certain prejudice against foreigners.
That's a shocking thing, but I wouldn't doubt it, Mr. Shapley. You decided to live here for your health, I suppose?
No, Doctor. I came to the English countryside for peace. Peace to conclude my studies on the origin and history of West Indian native music.
I see.
I've been working in close conjunction with Professor Griffiths of the Brighton College of Anthropology. It was he who concerned me to make graphophone records of my works with a view to recording them for musical archives.
And your servant saw his advantage. When you decided to change identities, he realized that if he disposed of you, he would be able to continue in his false character as the supposed Mr. Shapley. He could have taken over your large bank balance and retired under yet a third name with the proceeds.
And then he concocted this elaborate plot involving voodoo and native chants, knowing that his master would be suspect.
Precisely. He drugged his master, placed him in the incriminating trap, and then planned to burst in just ahead of us and shoot him.
But, Holmes, the white feather you found on Mr. Shapley's coat.
Undoubtedly planted there.
Mr. Holmes, I still don't see how you knew that my man was responsible.
The first clue was the trellis. It's obvious that you never climbed that. You're heavier than Dr. Watson, and it wouldn't support his weight. Your servant was a small, light man. Obviously, it was he.
Well, I see it all now. And then, of course, when we heard the music while Mr. Shapley was still lying unconscious, it was obvious that the whole thing was a plot. Oh, what a shocking business.
Yes, but I can't tell you how grateful I am to you, gentlemen. You saved my life. Mr. Holmes, I must insist on paying you a handsome fee.
A fee? No, Mr. Shapley. I couldn't dream of accepting one. Some people in my country have been sufficiently inhospitable to a foreigner to make him believe it advisable to change places with his own servant. Presumably, this was done in order to obtain tolerance and peace. Surely the least I can do is to see that his stay on these shores is a tolerable one.
Girls, I imagine most of you are planning to go out to a party or a dance on New Year's Eve, or perhaps just spend a quiet evening with friends. Naturally, you want your hair to look its best. So why not follow this beauty tip from those divinely beautiful Powers models?
We wash our hair with Cremel shampoo. This amazing beautifying shampoo has been especially developed to actually glamour bathe each tiny strand of hair, revealing all its natural glossy luster.
And so many women tell me how wonderful Cremel shampoo is for washing children's hair.
Well, you can readily see why. Because Cremel shampoo is so mild and gentle on the hair. Its luxurious active foam removes all loose dandruff as well as the dirt.
Girls, if only you could see how Powers Model's hair fairly radiates natural glossy highlights, I'm sure you'd want to try Cremel shampoo right away. You can buy a bottle at any drug counter. Kreml, Cremel shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, Mr. Bell, next week I think I'll tell you a story I call the Darlington Substitution Case. It's a strange story how Holmes saved a prominent British peer from scandal and disgrace by exercising the judgment of Solomon.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Mazarin Stone. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Cremel Hair Tonic and Cremel Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the Darlington Substitution Case. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay. Drop it, Martha. Drop it.
I'll kill you first.
Not if I can help it, my lady.
Michael, you're twisting my wrist. My gun's against my chest.
Isn't it? And my finger is over yours. On the trigger.
Michael, I didn't mean it. Don't.
Perhaps you didn't mean it, my lady. But I did.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Voice of Death, starring John Loder. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring John Loder as Michael Watkins in Voice of Death. Before anything else, Michael Watkins had charm. He was debonair. He was fatal to women, mostly between the ages of 40 and 50. Therefore, Michael Watkins had two sources of income: the women he cared to draw upon, and his great skill as a ventriloquist in the English music halls. Both paid him well, very well indeed. The occasion upon which this story of Michael begins is one evening in a London theater, as he concludes his bows to the applauding audience, and with his famous dummy Mickey, turns toward his dressing room.
Well, Mickey, we did it once again, didn't we?
Thanks for the wee, Mike. Thanks very much.
Michael, darling, you were marvelous.
Say, Mike, she's here again.
Mickey, is that the way to talk about the love of our life?
Never mind the our life. Yours, not mine.
Michael, will you stop talking to that wicked doll and pay some attention to me?
Martha, my dear, it's long past Mickey's bedtime. He really doesn't know what he's saying. When once he's where he belongs, you'll have all my attention, dear, as always.
I will not share you with anyone. Now, hurry, darling. Take off that silly makeup so you'll look like my Michael. Hurry now.
You have the lady, Mike. Why stand there?
I'm on my way, son, on my way. 10 minutes at the longest, Martha.
Hello, Mike.
Mike, we're set upon from all sides.
Do I hear any complaints? Now leave me alone with the lady. Into your box. There. Now, Dorothy. Sweetheart, where did you pop from?
To be exact, from behind that screen. To be informative, from an airplane ticket office.
Oh, Paris for the weekend, darling? Will you excuse me if I take my makeup off?
Of course. Not Paris for the weekend, Mike. America forever.
But you can't, sweetheart.
After all we've been to each other, save it, Mike. Save it for the Martha Wingate.
What do you know about Martha Wingate?
I'm not my father's daughter for nothing, Mike. Dad is one of the wealthiest men in America because he always checked every investment thoroughly. I've been thinking about investing my life with you, Mike. So I checked.
So that's why you're going home.
No, for two reasons, darling, neither of which do I expect you to understand. First, my father's old and ill and wants his only daughter with him. Second, I have some pride, Mike. Enough pride to say to you, if you love me as you've said, you'll follow me.
But I can't. My career.
Mickey will find another voice for himself. If you really want me. Goodbye, Mike. Goodbye.
Well, well, well. But Martha's waiting, isn't she, Michael? Isn't she, old boy?
Here, Michael, darling. Read this.
I, Martha Wingate, being of sound mind, and so on, so on, so on, leave all my real and personal property, with certain exceptions hereinafter described, to Michael Watkins, for whose love and kindness to me at a time when I most needed them. Martha, you haven't cut off your family for me.
I have no family. No one. The exceptions are my servants and a charity or two.
What if I told you, my dear Martha, that I've been playing for bigger stakes than this?
I don't understand, Michael. What more can I give to you?
I have no intention of marrying you, my dear. But I needed wherewithal to put me in a position to lay hands on more money and power than you ever dreamed of.
How? By marrying that American?
Leave it to a woman's instinct. Think of it, Martha. Not only tremendous wealth and the power that goes with it, but youth and beauty as well. Two assets which I'm afraid you do not possess any longer.
I don't believe my ears. I don't. I can't. Here on the desk. The letters you wrote. I tied them with ribbon. I believed them.
Did you really, or did you only want to believe them? Isn't it possible, my dear Martha, that all along you knew the ending might be like this? That is why you kept your little pistol there with my letters?
Yes. The pistol there, I knew. I suppose I knew. It's why you're very right, Michael. But I think you made one mistake. One mistake. You expect me to use the pistol on myself. Not on you.
Martha, I'm going to take that gun away from you.
No, Michael, don't move. Don't move.
Drop it, Martha, drop it.
I'll kill you first.
If I can help it, Martha.
Michael, you're twisting my wrist. The gun's against my chest.
Isn't it? And my fingers over yours, on the trigger.
Oh, Michael, I didn't mean it. Don't.
Perhaps you didn't mean it, my lady, but I did. Yes?
house.
I see. Scotland Yard, Sergeant White. Come in, Sergeant.
Oh, thank you, sir.
May I say I've been expecting you?
Oh, have you indeed, Mr. Watkins?
Yes. When I was informed of poor Marta's way out and the gesture of her will, the papers were rather descriptive of my letters near the body and all that. Well, I rather expected that you fellows wouldn't close the case without seeing me. What can I do for you, Sergeant?
Did you expect Mrs. Wingate to take her own life, Mr. Watkins?
As a matter of fact, I thought her many threats were jealous hysteria.
Oh, I see. And she had reason to be jealous?
Well, I warned her often that there might be a younger woman one day. She refused the inevitable when it came.
Well, you were honest, at any rate.
I try to be, always. Is there any reason for any other verdict than suicide, Sergeant? If so, I offer any help I can give to track down the killer.
Oh, no. Nothing, Mr. Watkins. Just the small fact that the wound... Well, it struck me that Mrs. Wingate's wrist must have been bent at a very sharp angle to permit the bullet to enter where it...
You don't miss very much, do you, Sergeant?
However, the medical examiner assures me that it could have been done. You seem quite prepared to accept the limelight as the cause of Mrs. Wingate's self-destruction.
Well, now, do I have any choice?
Apparently, no. Well, Mr. Watkins, I wanted to meet you, and having seen you, if you'll excuse me now...
Naturally. Anything I can do, just call on me.
Oh, we shall. As a matter of fact, my superiors have given me leave to request that you remain within reach until further notice. Good day, Mr. Watkins.
Whew. Apparently, no time to lose. That you, Pence?
Who's asking?
Mike Watkins, remember?
Yeah, the lad I taught a few tricks to not so long ago.
I need your help, Pence. I'll pay well.
You birds always do. What is it? A check you want signed with someone else's
No, that I could do myself after all you've taught me, Pence. I want a complete set of identity papers from the photostat of birth certificate on up. I want them in the name of Martin Williams. Get that? Martin Williams, and I want them fast. I'm getting out of the country, Pence, as quickly as I can.
Michael, you did follow me.
Darling, the name's not Michael, it's Martin. Martin Williams.
That's the one thing I don't understand. Oh, the porter will have your bags at the street level, dear. Come on, we go this way. Why did you change your name?
I didn't. Williams is my right name. Watkins was a stage name. Ditto, Martin, and Michael. And passports must be in legal names, you know, like birth certificates.
Oh, then that explains it. I couldn't understand. One night a call comes from a transatlantic liner, a Mr. Williams, person to person, to me. Mr. Williams wishes to speak to Miss Dorothy Spencer. And then to hear your voice, to know you're on the way. Oh, Michael, you're a devil.
Will your father appreciate a devil, Dorothy?
My father appreciates success, and you're a successful devil. Is Mickey with you?
I've abandoned Mickey.
Oh, no, he was cute.
That's done with, sweet. Oh, I came into a little money, and while I can't take it out of England, we might go back there and live on it, darling, if necessary.
Oh, that's for years from now. Come along and meet Father.
Is he expecting a ventriloquist?
He's expecting the man I love.
Well, darn nice of him to come to the pier this way.
Oh, Dad insists on doing all sorts of things he never did before. Michael, Dad's far from well, and he knows it. I'm so glad I came home in time.
I see. And so am I. Glad I came to America in time.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Voice of Death. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring John Loder as Michael Watkins in Voice of Death. A new country meant just one thing to Michael Watkins, a new field to conquer with his one great weapon, his charm. But Michael was wise. He limited this new field, at least for the moment, to Dorothy Spencer and her father. True, the music hall ventriloquist, Michael Watkins, was gone, and his passport named him Martin Williams. But Dorothy insisted that he accept Mike as a nickname, and Mike he became, not only to Dorothy, but to her father as well. The months went by. Mike was a permanent fixture in the Spencer household.
You want me, sir?
Yes, Mike. I want to talk to you. How long have you been in America now?
4 months and 10 days, Mr. Spencer.
Ah, yes. You've been my confidential secretary.
All that time but 3 weeks. And I deeply appreciate your confidence, Mr. Spencer, if I may say so.
All right, you said it. Unnecessary, my boy. I couldn't give you my confidence. I certainly couldn't let you have my daughter. And that's what I want to talk to you about while Dorothy isn't in the house.
I'm listening, sir.
Dorothy is going to be a very rich girl. Extremely so. I'm glad she set her heart on someone who will help her afterwards.
You can count on me, Mr. Spencer.
I'll haunt you if I find I can't, Mike. And with a heart like mine, you never know when the haunting may begin. Of course, Dorothy isn't getting everything. In fact, only about 1/3.
I see.
Even that will give her more than most. The other 2/3 after taxes is going toward the foundation of a new university. Now, when a man has no son, he wants his name perpetuated in some way. You understand, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I wanted you to know this. I don't believe in surprises. That's all, son. I think I'll take that nap now.
Yes, sir. Rest well. 1/3. Only 1/3. We'll see about that.
My darling, I just got in. Is anything wrong?
No, of course not.
Well, you look as if you'd been struck by lightning.
Nothing as drastic as that, darling.
Then tell me what.
I'd rather not yet. Everything will be all right. I'll see to that.
Who's there? Who turned on the lights?
I did, sir.
Oh. What do you want, Mike? Is Dorothy...
Dorothy's perfectly all right as far as I know.
Oh. Well, then, what on earth are you waking me for at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I want you to change your will.
What? I'll do no such thing.
I think you'd better.
Are you crazy?
No, just young and strong with a good heart.
Is this a threat, sir? Leave my pillow alone, you hear? Let me up. If you think this will change my mind...
I've taken care of that. Taken care of it to a point already.
I've never made it.
Don't fight, Mr. Spencer. Just slip away. Your heart won't take much. Make it easy for yourself. There. Even easier than I thought. Now, prop the body on the pillows. Good. The bells. Here. So, cook. And yes, butler. Excellent. Papers ready, fountain pen. All set. Come in.
Oh, Mr. Williams, is something wrong? Mr. Spencer,
You rang, Mr. Spencer. Oh, cook and Mr. Williams, too. Is he... Has he...
Shut the door, please. Not yet, but he's quite low. He called me a few minutes ago.
Oh, Have you sent for the doctor, Mr. Williams?
I will, as soon as we've accomplished what Mr. Spencer wants done. So quickly, please.
Oh, anything, sir.
Of course, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Spencer's made his will. What's that, sir?
To be legal, they must know I'm in my right mind, that I want them myself to witness the instrument.
Yes, sir. Now, please, save your strength. Did you hear that, Mrs. Mallory?
Oh, yes, I heard. I heard.
And you too, Davis?
Yes, sir. He spoke quite clearly.
Now, here's the pen. Mr. Spencer signed it while he still had the strength. Here, you know his handwriting. Just there. And there. Now I'll call the doctor.
Did you open the wall safe, Mike?
Of course, my dear.
You had access to that safe, Mr. Williams. I thought only Miss Spencer and her father.
Well, Mike was Dad's confidential secretary these past months, Mr. Mason. He knows the combination, too.
I see. Well, a man doesn't keep his lawyer up to date on everything, I suppose. Open it, will you, please?
Oh, why, certainly. There you are, Mr. Mason.
Thank you. Ah, yes. These leases are familiar. And this is the first share of stock he ever bought. He told me once he'd never sell it. Yes, papers. Okay. Oh, this is the will I drew for him.
There seems to be one more envelope here, same size as that one.
Yeah, no harm in opening it. Why, this is another will.
Another one?
Yes, of a later date. Here, let me see. A complete change of heart. This entire estate to you, Miss Spencer. In trust with Mr. Williams here.
I'm honored. I'm truly honored.
A change of heart?
You didn't know the contents of the will I drew?
No, of course not.
Oh, well, briefly, 1/3 to you directly, 2/3 for the founding of a university to bear the Spencer name. Now, you realize, both of you, that when two instruments appear like this, the signatures must be authenticated.
Is that the usual procedure in this country?
Oh, yes, purely a matter of form. I'm certain everything will be in proper order. Miss Spencer, I asked you here to my office in strictest confidence.
You sound as if something terrible were happening.
On your honor, on your father's name, not a word beyond this room.
Oh, of course not.
The second will. The signature was far too perfect. It's definitely a tracing. Analysis reveals the faint carbon lines of the tracing.
It's a forgery?
I'm afraid so, and I'm afraid I must ask you to sign this paper. It's permission to exhume your father's body. The police have requested it.
There it is, Mr. Mason. Medical examiner's report.
Evidence of possible suffocation. Yet definitely not from heart failure, as certificate presumed. But this is incredible, Lieutenant. It's simply incredible.
Not to us, Counselor. Not with a motive as strong as that forged will.
But surely you don't suspect Miss Spencer?
Oh, definitely not. But we've been doing some checking, sir, including several telephone conversations with the Criminal Investigation Division of the London Police.
Scotland Yard?
Exactly. I wonder, Mr. Mason, if you could arrange a meeting between Miss Spencer and myself.
Lieutenant Allison, I can't. I just can't. If what you believe is true, I'll never be able to live with myself. Not ever.
Well, he was an old man, Miss Spencer. His time was very short in any case. And there is such a thing as justice.
You said Cook's story puzzles you. About Dad speaking to her the night he died.
It does.
Mike was a ventriloquist in England.
Well, that fits. It fits everything. Miss Spencer, will you go along with our plan?
Yes, oh yes, only quickly or I shall do something terrible myself. Mike! moment, will you, please?
Why, of course. Something about the will?
Yes, Michael. About the will. I think you know Mr. Mason and Mrs. Mallory Davis. And this is Lieutenant Allison. Homicide.
Mr. Williams, Lieutenant Allison has a few questions.
Why, certainly, Lieutenant. Anything at all.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, I think you should know that the will, which gave you control of Mr. Spencer's fortune, was a forgery.
Impossible.
But true. Definitely proven true. The signature was a tracing. Mr. Spencer never signed that will. Mrs. Mallory and Davis here never saw him sign it.
That's true. You said yourself that night he signed it before we came to the room.
You're imagining things, Mrs. Mallory.
Davis says the same thing. Tell him, Davis.
I told it to you already, Lieutenant. I had no idea Mrs. Mallory had said the same thing before.
But he spoke to you, told you himself.
Let me read you this, Williams. It's addressed Lieutenant James Allison. Michael Watkins, well-known ventriloquist, disappeared from London. Check of American consulate, revealed photostat, birth certificate, one Martin Williams. Check of information on certificate, revealed same forgery. If Williams ventriloquist, this office interested. Doubt concerning suicide, Martha Wingate. Send fingerprints. Signed White, CID London. Your fingerprints are on the way. We found them on both wills. And Miss Spencer here says she knew you in London as Watkins. Well, Watkins?
There is such a thing as justice.
Mason, Davis, look out!
You won't take me! All right.
Lieutenant, is he dead?
No, miss. I'm a better shot than that. He'll stand trial. As we both said, there's such a thing as justice.
Crime does not pay. John Loder, who was starred as Michael Watkins in Voice of Death, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is John Loder.
Obviously, there was nothing about Michael Watkins that might be counted excusable or even as a saving grace. This man was evil, preying as he did upon weaker members of the so-called weaker sex and upon those who could not defend themselves. But there was an end and a retribution for Michael Watkins in this story, and as a punishment for every one of his ilk in real life. Watkins made one mistake, and that was enough. Our prisons and death houses are filled with people who made mistakes. But the greatest mistake of all is made when the person contemplating criminal action forgets or fails to realize that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. Loder. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical consultant is Burton B. Turkus. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental.